referee shirt on? Come on, man. Gotta play the part now. All right. So yeah, green on the right. Everybody got green on the right, red on the left. This is something you'll have to learn. Takes a little while sometimes to go too green. Until it becomes second nature for you. You do it enough times, okay? All right. So let's do a quick round of introductions, then I'll sort of lay out what we're going to cover tonight. We're kind of going out of sequence a little bit because normally I have a session before this one that covers some basic stuff that sort of surrounds the activity of officiating. So tonight we're just diving right into the sort of the mechanics of it all and the hands-on aspect of actually running a match, okay? So I'm not as comfortable going in that order, but because of just the way the schedule worked out, we're going to do that. We'll do the other session either on Sunday night or Monday night. We'll make a decision here before we leave tonight, okay? But we'll do that one online. So do that from the comfort of your home, okay? And you already did that session, right? You were on that first. You were on that first Zoom session back a couple of weeks ago. So, and Alex, you were on that too, weren't you? Yeah. Okay. So anyway, quick introductions. Let's just go down the line. Tell us your name. Tell us what school you wrestle for. You don't wrestle anymore, but you'll tell them what school you were associated with. Tell us what grade you were in, and tell us how long you've been wrestling, and whether or not you've officiated any other sports before, including wrestling. So if you officiated soccer or Little League baseball or something like that, just share that with us, okay? So start over here.
Sean, grade 9, Ribbon High School. I've officiated rugby, and I've been wrestling for 1 year.
Okay, that's good. So he's officiated before. What I always tell people is that there's sort of two aspects to officiating. One is just being in the official role, the referee role. The other is whatever the knowledge of that sport is, the experience. So there's certain things that just because you've officiated something before, you actually sort of set you up well to do this. Because now that you wrestle and you know wrestling a little bit better, put the two things together, okay? All right.
Henry Thomas, I coach at Ingram High School, and I've been coaching for 6 years. This is my first year officiating.
In school, I'm a junior at Pacific High School. I've been wrestling Mason Cook, Ribbon High School.
What grade are you in, Nathan? 11th grade.
Andrew Sell, freshman at Redwood High School. Started wrestling 6th grade.
Okay. Okay. All right, what grade are you in right now, Roman? What's your? 11th grade. Okay.
Reese Kelly, I'm 9th grade at Juanita. I started wrestling this year.
All right. I'm Bob Turner. I'm your trainer. Henry and Alex heard a little bit of this before, but I'm going to credentialize for you just so you sort of know who's training you. I've been officiating for 34 years, mostly here in the state of Washington. I started out in the state of North Carolina, did 2 years out there. I've worked Matt Classic about 15 times now. I have published national rule books. I have a couple of rules in the national rule book that I just passed out to you guys. I wrestled here in the state of Washington. I was a state champion when I was in high school here at Bellarmine Prep High School in Tacoma. And I wrestled in college at West Point. I qualified for 2 NCAA tournaments while I was in college. So I've seen wrestling from all levels. I coached for 5 years last decade at my alma mater, Bellarmine Prep. So I've seen the sport from a lot of different angles, from top to bottom, highest levels. You know, I wrestled against guys that were NCAA champions, Olympic gold medalists. Okay, so I've seen it all. So I only tell you that because I like to brag. No, I tell you that just so you have an appreciation for who's training me. Okay, just know that when I tell you certain things, I have a long history in the sport. I've been involved in sport now for almost 50 years. So I have a lot of experience. I've trained almost 300 people how to officiate sport wrestling. So if you're newer to the sport or you're new to officiating, you're in good hands. All right? All right, so tonight, here's what we're going to cover. I'm going to walk you through some of the, first, we'll walk through a bit of clinic on a few key rules. Now, after tonight, and Henry and Alex, you've already done the homework, right? You already did the videos, but I'm going to send you guys some homework. You're going to need to watch these videos. They're instrumental to understanding the most fundamental concept of the sport, which is the concept of control. Okay? If you understand that, it unlocks the secrets of the universe. Okay? Both as a contestant, coach, or a referee, right? Like it's magical once you understand how that should be applied. Okay, so I'm going to give you some homework, but here tonight we'll cover a few things around that, just so we have some context as we jump into then covering what I'll call event mechanics, which is in the role of referee. You're used to being an athlete, most of you competitor, so you know the sport from a competitor's eyes, but what you don't know it is from the official's eyes and responsibility. So there are things other than the moves and the scoring that we have to worry about. When you're the referee, you have to worry about, is everything safe here? Where's the coach at? Is that clock working? There's a lot of things you're worried about that as a competitor you never cared or needed to worry about. Okay, so we'll walk through the event mechanics. Event mechanics are basically those things you do in your role as an administrator of the sport to make sure that the dual meet can occur and run smoothly. Okay. Then we'll focus on mat mechanics. Mat mechanics are what will happen during a match. Okay. So think of the event mechanics as sort of the wrapper around the series of matches you will officiate when you go to a school and do dual meet. All right. So in mat mechanics, then we'll cover some basics about positioning, about signaling, communications. Okay, so we'll walk you through those things to give you some hands-on experience, and then beyond tonight, you'll go home. Beyond the homework I'm going to send you, which is some videos and then some things you have to do in terms of watching clinics and taking the rules test and all that other stuff. You're going to practice some of this stuff that you're going to do tonight. Okay, so you're going to learn some of these things. You get sort of hands-on, and then you're going to want to practice some of that stuff at home, like signaling. Okay, it's a basic thing, but because you haven't been in that role before, it can be a thing that is sort of difficult for you at first. I officiated a baseball game one time when I was in the Army, stationed up in Alaska. They had a midnight softball game. It started at midnight with no artificial lights. It's June. And I knew baseball, like I'd played baseball, I watched it my whole life. And as an umpire, just basic things when it's like, you're out. And it's like, when everybody's going, you're out. Like just dumb stuff like that. Like but it's that kind of stuff. If you've never officiated, and I hadn't officiated baseball before, those little things kind of trip me up initially. So it is with this. Once you sort of start practicing it, and you get a chance to actually do it out in a dual meet somewhere, you'll pick it up. Okay? So a couple of reassurances I'll give you is that most of those 300 people I've trained to officiate were high school kids. Right? So you guys can do this. They did it. It's fun. You'll make good money. Okay. I don't know if they paid you to officiate rugby, but you're gonna make any middle school dual meet you go work. You're gonna earn at least $70 for all of about could be an hour and a half of work. You show up at a school at like 3:30, 3:45, and you'll be done about an hour and a half later probably, and you'll make $70 or more. Okay, so money's pretty good for a high school kid. There's not many jobs you can work where you're going to get paid like $40 an hour. This is one that you will. You'll wish you had more work, is what you'll wish. But the season's going to go quick. Competitions, depending on what league you're in, are usually on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And so the reason I keep the number of recruits down is because I want all of you to work like as many matches as you can. If I have too many of you and you only work like half of the stuff available, you wouldn't make as much money. So I want you all to make a lot of money. I want you to have a good experience doing this, because my goal is I want you to officiate when you're beyond your high school years. Some of you, hopefully, if you get a good experience doing this, you like making the money and you're hanging around after you graduate high school because you go to college locally or you start working locally. This is a great thing to keep doing. And if you're doing it now while you're in high school, as soon as you graduate, you'll be doing high school varsity. My son, when he was in college, he officiated. He officiated was in high school too. He's 25 years old. He just worked the state tournament for the second time. Okay, so he's down there officiating at Mac Classic. Even though he looks young, he's been officiating. This was his 11th season, so he's a pretty experienced official. But when he was in college, he went to the University of Washington. He was officiating. He was making about $3,500 to $4,000 a season. That was paying his room and board, and as his dad, I was very happy about that. Plus, he loved doing it, and plus, it gave us a chance to do something together as well. So, I'll give you that reassurance that it's fun, you'll make money, I can train you up successfully, and be aware that the coaches are in a partnership with us. So, they're not gonna try to run you off and chew your ear and all this stuff. Like, that's not what they're about. They're gonna give you feedback and try to help you. They realize that you are inexperienced. So my goal in training you is not to train you to be an expert official in this brief training we're gonna do today and then when we do that follow-on session. Not to be an expert, not to be ready to do, officiate Mac Classic or regionals. It's so that you can operate adequately and sufficiently for middle school wrestling. Okay? And that you'll have a good experience. The coaches will have a decent experience. And like I said, they recognize that you're inexperienced, so if they have something to say to you, it'll be more constructive, not like, how could you, blah, 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 like yelling at you to try to, grind you down. Instead, they may be telling you things like, okay, after the meet's over, like, yeah, you gotta be careful, like when the kid's got that head and arm, make sure he's not cutting off the circulation, or you gotta watch that arm when they have that bar arm, you can't run it forward like that, like, they're gonna tell you things like that, or you gotta make sure you get in position, you gotta get around a little quicker, or just listen to what they tell you. They're there to help you, okay? All right, so those are some reassurances. So let's start by first talking about a few fundamental rules that you need to sort of understand. And so there's three basic things that when I'm officiating and any good official is constantly evaluating. If you were able to stop time, freeze everything, and close my eyes and then ask me about these three things, I would be able to tell you at any moment that you did that, the answers to these three things. So I'm going to talk to you and train you up a little bit on supporting points, on inbounds and out of bounds rule, and on control. Okay. So at any moment of any dual meet, tournament, whatever, if you were to go, okay, Bob, what are Alex's supporting points? Well, he's got a knee and an elbow down. Like I'd tell you that. Okay. What's the control situation of Henry? They're neutral. Henry doesn't have control yet. Okay. Like I would just be able to tell you that because I'm constantly evaluating. They're in bounds. Like I can just tell you that. Okay. So we're going to cover those three sort of basic rules because they are at the heart of everything that you're going to see. Okay. And some of the wrestling you're going to see is going to be sort of at a much lower level than what you see in your high school teams. So that's okay if you're able to officiate at a higher level than the wrestling you're seeing. That's a good thing. I don't want you to go out there and not be able to manage an event because somehow I don't train that. Okay. So feel free to ask questions as I go through this stuff. So let's start with the concept of supporting points. Supporting points, basically, what they were originally defined to be are parts of the body that bear the weight of the wrestler. So you're not trained officials yet, but what do you think my supporting points are right now? My feet, yeah. Common sense, right? Okay. How about now? What do you think my supporting points might be? Hands and knees, yeah. And technically, actually, like, see my toes, like my feet, they bear some weight, don't they? Not a lot, but they're kind of there. So originally the concept though of supporting points was not only did they bear the weight, we really only cared about 2 supporting points for each wrestler, and therefore we only cared about the supporting points, parts of the body that bore the majority of the weight. So like when we're in this position here, traditionally, where's the majority of my weight? My center of gravity, where's my biggest muscles? Legs, yeah. So where do you think the majority of my weight's probably supported? And reflected by which part of my legs? My knees, yeah. Because look, I can do that, right? Like, I probably have a hard time like getting my knees and holding them off the mat the same way I just did with my hand, right? So that just sort of shows you, it's sort of physics, right? Center of gravity. So that's the way supporting points were originally defined. So you're always sort of looking for where's the majority of the person's weight. And oftentimes when they're down on the mat, it's like on their knees, or if they're on the side of their hip and their thigh, on their back, okay, on their belly and hip, right? So that concept's morphed a little bit, and so I'm going to sort of make it easy on all of you. This isn't technically true at this point, but we're heading in this direction. So when you think of supporting points, let's just start by thinking about body parts. So if this was the out of bounds line, whether or not you think my hand is supporting a bunch of my weight or not, if I've got a knee and a hand down on the mat in bounds, just call those supporting points, okay? So in other words, just look for 2 parts of their body that you would say, okay, his 2 parts of his body, he's got his hand and his knee, or whatever. His parts of the body, he's got both his knees, or whatever. Like you're just looking for 2 body parts that you're going to say those are their support points. Okay. So, any questions about that? All right. Now we'll build on that. The inbounds rule, and I've given you guys rule books. Not that I expect you to read them cover to cover and memorize them. But although I will expect you to start consuming it a little more, and you probably have already seen a lot of it anyway, coaching all those years. So the thing is, Rule 5-15 and Rule 5-18 are your rules that define inbounds and outbounds. And really, there's no difference between those 2 rules anymore. There's really just an inbounds rule. So in the inbounds rule, what we're looking for is that there are at a total of 2 supporting points on or inside the boundary line. So this is the boundary line. A mat has a 28-foot circle, that's this outer circle, and a 10-foot circle. Okay, a legal high school mat. It can actually have a bigger than a 28-foot circle. It has to be at least 28 feet. By the rules, this could be a 100-foot circle if you had that big of a mat, that big of a facility. But at least 28 foot. They would let you have it bigger because it would be harder to go out of bounds, and this sport is designed for continuous action. So if the boundary line was 100 feet away, that would be ideal because like nobody would ever go out of bounds, and we would just have the period would run for a minute and a half. It would end. We would set you back in position. We would run a 4.5 minutes of wrestling probably in 5 minutes instead of going out of bounds every 7 seconds and restarting. So anyway, this boundary line here. The line is considered in, okay? And so the out of bounds starts beyond the outer edge of the line, okay? So to be in bounds, we have to have a total of 2 supporting points. One wrestler or both wrestlers combined have to have 2 supporting points. So if we're wrestling and both of us have one, he's got a foot there and I got a foot here, how many supporting points are in bounds right now? 2 total, right? Like 1 from him, 1 from me, because we're touching the line, okay? And when you're touching the line, you're considering it, so in an extreme, like we're still both in bounds there, even though we're just a little sliver of the line touching, right? This is a kind of a rule change they made about 3 years ago. It used to be that if you were touching beyond the boundary line, that body part was considered out. Now it's like we're flipped over. If any part of it is touching the line, that body part's considered inbound. So that's an extreme. We both have a foot touching the line, therefore there's two supporting points, so we're still in bounds. Okay? So we keep pressing until now what do we have? There's only one supporting point in bounds, so we stop action. Okay?
So does that mean it would be like if you had your 2 feet there and I was standing fully outside of bounds, is this good?
Yep, we're good in this position because what do we have here? 2 from me, none from him, but a total of 2, well, I have the 2. In our example before, he had 1 and I had 1. So just a total of 2, okay? And like I said, what gets tricky is get down on your knees, Hannah's knees. Like sometimes, like what's tricky about this rule is when you're in situations like this where, you're not quite sure, does that really count as a supporting point or not? Is one hand or whatever, like, what I'm telling you is if you see 2 body parts on or inside the line, just consider those supporting points and say, if anybody asks you, go, yeah, there's 2 supporting points, his hand and his knee. Okay, so your bias is when you're looking at inbounds in wrestling, when you officiate, you're just looking for those 2 body parts on or inside the line. So you don't need to worry about looking from beyond the line so much as always looking to see, do I still have a one knee and a hand, a foot from him, a foot from me? Like you're just looking for the 2. As soon as you no longer see 2, like we had that example, I stepped over and he had 1 in and I had none. That's when you're going, there's only 1. Your brain goes.
So if, let's say I was like laying down and I was
Yeah.
the only person inbounds and I think we're like this.
It's not, if they're, so they need to be touching the mat is what I'll tell you. Like 2 body parts touching the mat. In college, it's a different rule. In college, they have a thing called the cylinder, and they actually would count like, they would say my foot is still in, even though it's not touching the mat. But for us, 2 body parts touching the mat, we'll consider that inbounds. Who we got here?
My name's Franklin.
Franklin Lee, Redmond High School. What grade are you, Franklin?
I'm in 10th grade.
10th grade, okay. Have you ever officiated anything before? Okay, let's get you a kid. Suit up like everyone else. That's okay. Okay, no worries. We'll get you up.
Oh, how about?
And one thing about the kids, at the end of the season, I want to collect those back up from you because part of what I'm trying to do is defray the cost for you, right? I don't want you guys to have to go buy this stuff because that eats into your earnings, okay? So, but I need to collect it up from you because next year, whoever's going to officiate, I want to be able to do the same for them, right? It's just like your singlets here or your school teams, right? You don't walk home with them every season. Make the school buy a whole new set of them. Okay, so you'll keep the whistle, but I'll collect up the bands, the shirt, and the coin from you at the end of the season. Okay? All right. And I've recorded like who I've issued them out to. Okay, so 2 body parts touching the mat, consider that inbounds, okay?
So for that example, where he had a knee and a hand down, if he would pick his hand up to try to go for something, then it's out.
Yeah, like again, touching the mat. Let's just keep that perspective. Okay. Now, there's one exception I'm going to tell you about, which is since you're going to have coaches that coach high school and they're going to know this rule and they're going to be familiar. When guys are getting pinned, when you're in what we call like a plank position, like this, down on the mat, technically we consider your knees to be your supporting point, whether they're touching the mat or not. So if I'm pinning somebody and he's out of bounds and I'm like this, we're going to look to see where the knees are relative to this line. So at this moment, would I be considered in or out? In, yeah. Now, what about now?
Yes.
Still in, close though, right? This guy starts moving and turning. Out
Still,
now. I have 1, that one's not, right? So, and this guy's completely out, so now your main focus isn't, if you're watching somebody getting pinned, you're not always like looking to see where his knees are. but that's the rule in this case. So that's the one exception I'll give you, because even though my 2 feet are touching the mat in bounds, they're gonna expect that you're gonna abide by this rule and not let some near fall go on for 30 seconds like this when you should have been blowing it dead. Because they're gonna want to get their kid off his back. Okay. All right. So that's the inbounds rule. Okay. 2 body parts in contact with the mat on or inside the line. We'll call that inbounds. The one exception, if we're down on the mat in that near fall situation and the guy pinning him is up on his toes, or even if he's not on his toes, his knees are going to be the thing you're looking for. Where are his knees relative to that line? If his opponent's all the way out of bounds and then he has a knee, gets a knee that goes beyond the line, now he's out. And just issue his near fall, whatever he's on. Okay? So supporting points, inbounds. Third concept, control. You'll get a homework module on this that will explain this concept to you. People around the nation love this concept. It's very easy when you learn it this way. The most complex calls in the sport of wrestling, people tend to think are really tough takedown calls or reversals, and they can be, except for when you learn to apply the definition of control, like I'm going to teach you, it becomes a very straightforward exercise. So I was at a statewide officials conference in August, and we had a guy from the NCAA come talk to our wrestling officials in a breakout group. And he had some videos of some really wicked college matches at the NCAA tournament where it's like, oh wow, I can't believe that guy didn't get that takedown kind of thing, right? They're so athletic and so, skilled. And he's playing what are supposed to be sort of these really tough calls. And so he puts me on the spot. Okay, well, you be the guy to call this one, right? And so I'm just watching it, and all I'm doing is narrating what would be going on in my head as I'm watching the action. And then I'm declaring, okay, at this point now red has the takedown. And the NCAA official's yeah. But there was a sequence of stuff where you're thinking, oh, maybe green should have the takedown now. It was that kind of a situation where it's oh man, what? But it was pretty straightforward by applying the definition of control the way I'm going to teach you to, okay? So, definition of control, rule 5-6 is the rule on control in your rule book. And there's a paragraph written in there. I don't like the way the words come out. They're kind of jumbled, but I synthesize it down to a simple formula. Control equals restraining power plus position of advantage. So let me explain what each of those 2 terms in the equation stand for, how you apply those. Restraining power means simply that you are able to prevent your opponent from going wherever he wishes. So, come on over here, Franklin. So, if Franklin and I are wrestling neutral like this, do either of us have restraining power on the other? No, because we're not even touching each other, right? Now, the question I'll always pose to you, you can ask in your mind is, if you're wondering to yourself, is somebody being restrained? The question you can ask yourself is, if I told that person, pick any place you want to go, 4 feet in any direction, forward, backwards, sideways, whatever, you think he could get there in the next 2 seconds? If you're in your mind, you go, no, that means he's being restrained. So when we're like this, you say, hey, if I ask Franklin, pick someplace 4 feet away and go there in the next 2 seconds. Do you think he can go there? Yeah, go 4 feet in one direction. I can't stop him. Right? He can do that. Okay. Now, how about now if we're doing this? What do you think? But do I have restraining power? If I wanted to move 4 feet any direction or some direction, could I?
Well, both of you have.
Not really. Or you could do the same to me, or I could disengage, right? So we're not, even though we're in a tie-up like this, right? Not really restraining each other yet. We can move about freely, okay? Because I can just shuck that off and disengage, or he can start pushing me in a direction if he wants, right? And I can do the same to him, okay? Get down on the mat. your stomach. All right. How about now? You think Franklin can go anywhere he wants in the next 2 seconds? No. If he's against a good wrestler, he's going to be lucky to be able to get on his knees. Okay? So, that's restraining power. When we're like this, if I'm in on this single leg like this, you think I have restraining power on him now?
Yeah.
Yeah. You see this a lot, right? Like he's on bottom, he's getting away, I slide down to this leg or whatever, and you see guys like cling into this, and he starts hopping, but he can't get away. You know why he can't get away? Because I have restraining power. Okay? So that's the concept of restraining power. Pretty straightforward, right? That's the first half of the equation. Restraining power. Second half of the equation. Position of advantage. Okay? Position of advantage, your operating definition of that, just means superior position. Only one person can have a superior position. Can't have both a superior position, otherwise the word superior doesn't mean anything. It would mean equal, and that's not what the word superior means. Superior means somebody's got it better over the other, right? So, it's just common sense. This is why all of you can officiate and you'll see this in the homework. Like Alex, you did the homework, and in the homework, in the video, I present like 20 situations, right? How many of the 20 did you get right? I bet you got like at least 15 or 16 right. You got a high percentage of them right. Yeah, and Alex hasn't officiated before. But it's just simple when you apply these definitions, right, into it. So, position of advantage is just common sense. You're looking at something going, so come on over here again, Franklin. Like when we're like this, does someone have the position of advantage? No. Nobody has a better position than the other. We're kind of facing each other, right? How about if I'm like this, does someone have a position of advantage?
Yeah.
Who?
You.
Me, yeah. It's better to be behind the guy than have your back to him, right? So here I have a position of advantage. If I was the offensive wrestler, he was the defensive wrestler, let's say, and he stood up, and I'm like this, do I still have a position of advantage on him at this moment? Yes. Now start breaking my hands. Stop. Do I still have a position of advantage here?
Yes.
How come?
Because you're behind him.
I'm still behind him, aren't I?
Okay.
So he starts to turn, don't stop. How about now? Do I still have a position of advantage?
Slight.
Yeah, lesser, but I still do, because I might, I could still come around like that. He hasn't proven to us that he's, free of my advantage, right? Turn again, 45. How about now?
Still a slight.
Couldn't still, so it's questionable, because again, depends your orientation. Me as an official, I'm like, he hasn't proven to me that he's free of it yet. Right? Now, if he turns another 45 degrees,
No.
now, no more advantage for me, right? This is why you hear this, you're in your wrestling coaching, what do they say you have to do to get an escape here?
Turn and face.
Turn and face. Oh, perfect. You're like a plant. So when he starts to break my hands, and then even though right now I don't have any restraining power on him. Actually, do I? He's controlling my hands, but I still have the advantage. And then when he turned a little bit, like I still have the advantage. And at some point, when he turns enough, that's when you're going to say, I don't think Bob has the advantage anymore. Okay? And at that point, you're going to feel comfortable that he has an equal opportunity to defend or attack. He doesn't when we're like this. Okay?
If you still have your hands locked and they manage to turn,
Yeah, so he can turn like this.
would you still have advantage?
You tell me, what do you think? Use your common sense here. I mean, would you like to be in this position against your opponent? Henry, would you like your wrestler to be in my position? Or you'd like him to be in my position?
Oh, your position.
Yeah, because next thing, he's going to his back in about half a second, probably. I'm going to inside trip him and just bear hug him down. So, yeah, when I've got hands locked like this, that's one thing. Now, if he starts to scoot his hips back, let's say, sprawl him back, my hands break, now what? What do you think? No, I no longer have an advantage here, right? He now has sort of equal opportunity because he could break away, he could drop down and shoot, right? So when I got that bear lock on him, though, he's So Restraining power, position of advantage. Very simple. Like, I do not teach people things like this. Oh, it's always a takedown when he hooks the leg. Oh, it's always an escape when he breaks the hands. Like, no, it isn't actually. It might not be. All I'm training you to do, there are 1 trillion situations in the world. So I'm training you to be able to apply this rule into all 1 trillion, not the 7 I teach you. Oh, yeah. The guy's down on all fours and he's coming around now and he hooks the leg. Okay, great, yeah, two takedown, right? Like, that's easy. What if I don't quite hook his leg? But I grab his other ankle over here and I've got a, underhook and like, so I'm just training you this definition so that when you see action, in your mind, you're just running that question. It's like a checklist in your mind. Does anyone have restraining power? Yes. Bob got restraining power. Does he have the advantage? No, he doesn't have it yet. Like, not yet. He'll go around behind the kid and hook his leg or get in more of that referee's position, like a tight waist. Like, at that point, yeah, I would think Bob has an advantage and the restraining power. That's when I'm going to give him control. So I'm training you to just watch action so that's all you're doing is like, well, no advantage yet. No. Oh, there it is. 2. Okay.
So what if somebody has an ankle with the person still hung around?
Again, if he's able to sort of move about the map, like if all I'm holding is 1 ankle with 1 hand, I doubt that I'm able to restrain unless I'm like super strong. Maybe if I had this, like your ankle's sort of locked in there, sometimes you get a single leg, you elevate the guy's leg and you got that thing tucked under your shoulder, right? Your armpit. Yeah, this guy's not going anywhere. But if you're just clinging to my ankle and I'm, guess what? I'm hopping feet away, right? You probably aren't really restraining me very much, are you? Okay. Somebody else had a question? Right, so that's the concept of control. Control is important because control is part of all the major scoring decisions. So what I really want you to do in your competency of officiating, the number 1 thing is I want you to protect the kids. If you're not perfect with your calls, everybody can live with that if you're doing a good job watching out for the safety of the kids. So you can be a terrible rules applier, but I don't want you to be terrible of, oh crap, like that kid just got his knee blown out because you're like not stopping the action. The kid's screaming in when he was down on below and you didn't stop it. And then we find out that he has a broken rib or something like you. So I want you to protect kids. That's the number 1 thing. It's a serious responsibility, and I want you to take that part seriously. But I also want you to be competent. And so the competency part, I want you to be competent in the main things. Again, being able to know when they're in and out of bounds, and being able to understand when somebody has control or when they no longer have it, because control is part of these scoring decisions: takedown, reversal, escape, and near fall. And those are your 4 major scoring maneuvers. So in a wrestling match is going to get decided because of those 4 scoring maneuvers normally. On occasion, it will get decided because of a violation. Somebody gets penalized for stalling or illegal hold or something, right? Like technical violation. That can happen. But the vast majority of matches, they're going to get decided because they're earning a near fall. Or they got takedowns. Like, that's what's going to decide matches. So if you're confident at judging those things well enough and getting it right enough, then you're going to be having a good contest. The kids are going to have a fair contest. The fans and coaches are going to be pleased with you. Okay? You don't have to be perfect, but if you at least are confident and if you're consistent with how you do it, that's a win. Okay? So that's why this concept is so important. Takedown. The definition of a takedown in the rule 5-25. Gain from neutral position, gain control, down on the mat, inbounds, beyond reaction time. That's the definition of takedown. Reversal, to gain control over the opponent, the defensive wrestler, gains control over his offensive opponent. Okay? Escape. The definition of escape, 5-10, rule 5-10. 4 things that the definition tells you. Defensive wrestler has to, number 1, get a neutral position. Neutral position means nobody has control anymore. And what does it mean if nobody has control, Henry? Yeah, so why? How do we know somebody's neutral or that they no longer have control? Exactly. So they lost both aspects of the formula. So that's the first thing in an escape, though. It's not loss of control, neutral. He has to get neutral first. Neutral, loss of control, inbounds, beyond reaction time. That's the 4 things in an escape. So control is at the heart of it again. We have to get free of the control and be neutral. Okay? And then near fall can only be awarded to somebody who is the offensive wrestler. And the offensive wrestler is the person who has control. So whenever we're in a wrestling situation, we always are aware of the control situation. Who's the offensive wrestler? Who's the defensive wrestler? Do we not have an offensive and defensive because we're neutral? But we need to know that stuff, because then if somebody's got put on their back, the question is, are we counting near fall? Well, we aren't if the offensive wrestler is trying to tilt his opponent. He's doing something like this. Like, I'm on my back, all right. But if I'm in control, the defensive guy is not allowed to score near fall. He can score a pin. I could pin myself. And if I hold these shoulders down on the mat for 2 seconds straight, that's a pin. So he doesn't have to have control to get a pin. But you have to have control to get near fall. So if I'm the offensive wrestler, I'm trying to tilt this guy, I'm exposing my own back. You're just looking at that and going, well, Bob's still in control. And even though his back's exposed, like, the other guy can't get near fall until he gets control. So that's why this rule is so important, okay? Any questions about control, inbounds, or supporting points? All right. So let's do this. Let's start by practicing some signals first, and then I'm going to run you through the event mechanics, okay? So signals are in your rule book. They're in the back, like page 81 or 82 or something. There's official signals. Even though you're new, even though some of the wrestling you see is not going to be state champion caliber wrestling, I want you to learn good fundamentals. I was telling the kids down at Tahoma High School last night, like, I want you to officiate above the level of wrestling that you're seeing. I want people in the stands to go, that might be some squirrely wrestling down there, but that young official, he looks good. I don't want them to go, that's some squirrely wrestling and that's some squirrely officiating. Like, so we can look good. There's something that in officiating, and I don't know if they had this, they taught you this in rugby, like, there's this concept they call sell the call. So selling the call just means you're confident, you're projecting, you're like, 2 takedown. Like, if you're a coach in the corner, are you likely to go, I don't think that's a takedown, but what if I went like this? Like, your guy's getting taken down. You're gonna be yelling, that's not 2, you know it isn't.
See, the fun thing about rugby is if he does that in a rugby game, it's 10 yards back for his team.
Well, yeah, we don't have such harsh penalties on coaches for stuff in this sport. So anyway, so when you signal something, if you're crisp with your signals, if you say stuff out loud, it just breeds confidence in the people that are watching. The wrestlers, the coaches, the fans. Okay. So let's work on our basic signals, and then this is something you'll practice at home in the mirror. Okay. And practice it based on what that written is pictured in the book. Some officials that are very experienced still don't follow the standard signals. I wish I could reprimand them. We should all use the same signal. There's no reason we shouldn't be using the same signals, okay? So, first signal, takedown. Takedown is just 2 up in the air. So, when we signal, what I want you to do when you signal, and you train yourself to do this, and you'll have to overcome some of the adrenaline and nerves and other things you may experience when you first start officiating. Just like me, oh, he's safe. You know, like, I know it's safe. I know this is safe, but in my brain, like it's all jumbled in that moment. 'Cause I'm not used to being a baseball umpire and I'm doing the wrong thing. So it could happen to you too, like you initially. But what I want you to train yourself to do is the principle is this. The reason we do the signals, the primary reason, is so that the scorekeeper can keep up with us. Because they're writing everything down and that's the official record. If everybody else wasn't paying attention or forgot, that could be okay as long as the scorekeeper's caught everything. Because if he's in the corner coaching and he doesn't realize, well, I gave you a reversal and then 2 near fall before he got the reversal on you, like if he forgets all that stuff, we can always go back to the book and go, yeah, it was 2 reversal, 2 near fall, then 2 reversal for him. Yeah. So it happens because sometimes your attention gets different. But the thing is, the main reason you're signaling is so that the scorekeeper can keep up with you. Okay? I had a match at state about 10 years ago where the wrong person won because the scorekeeper wasn't paying attention to me. So even though I knew green was ahead 7-0 going into the 3rd round, I forgot exactly how she got those initial points back and some of those points back in the 1st round. I couldn't remember with certainty. But I know she said 7-0, the scoreboard said 7-0. Unfortunately, the score sheet does not say 7-0 at that point. It says 5-0. So the scorekeeper has forgotten to record one of the takedowns or whatever reversal that she got, okay? So on the score sheet it says something 5-0, but coach in the corner, me, everybody else is looking at 7-0 green. Yeah, we know that's the score. Sure enough, red's on bottom. Red finally escapes with about a minute left. Red throws a head and arm, it works. She's got green on her back for basically the last 45 seconds of the match. But in my mind, I already know, okay, she got 1 for the escape. She's got 2 for the takedown. She's going to get 3 for this near ball. She's going to lose 7-6 unless she pins this girl. He's working hard. She can't put her down. Final whistle. It's like, yep, 7-6. Let's shake hands. And at that time, the scorekeeper's over there. Oh, hey, wait a minute. Like, what is it? Like, come over here. Okay, what is it? It's actually 6-5. Like, how's that? Well, he shows me the score sheet. And because I couldn't remember where, oh, no, it was a 2 takedown. Remember, she got that over there, and then there was that 2 reversal over here, and then 3-point here. Like, I couldn't remember. So I was stuck with what's on that score sheet. Now, that wasn't because I wasn't signaling well. It wasn't because the scorekeeper was not paying attention. And because we had to go with that as the official record, the wrong girl won. There was nothing we could do to correct that. But yeah, and so that green got eliminated. Red moved on to the next day. So not a good situation. So the main reason you're signaling, you want that scorekeeper to be able to see. The other reason you're signaling because you want the wrestlers, you want the coaches, you want the spectators, everyone else to know what's happening. They're watching. Okay. So when we signal, what we want to be is clear with our signals, and what we're going to do is when we put the points up, we're going to hold them in one direction for like 2 seconds, and then we're just going to rotate them 90 degrees and hold it another 2 seconds. Now, if you want Bob's bonus points, you can then do what I call go around the world with it. Just give everybody at every angle one last chance to see that. Now, the reason we do the turn is because, how many fingers am I going? Now you know, don't you? Here, you don't know if that's 1 or 2 or what, 3. Because you might be at an angle you can't really see them. That's why you turn it 90 degrees. Now it's these people at this angle can see. They at this angle you can see it, right? And then when I do that, you're kind of in the same boat he was in the moment. But you might not be sure, like, is that 1, 2, or 3? So that's why we do that. But 3, your ball. Green. Boom. That gives everybody a chance to see that, okay? So, when you signal, your goal is get your hand above your head. Okay? Don't signal down here. Because number 1, the scorekeeper might not see it. People might not see it. Number 2, I want you to commit to your signal. So when I talk about sell the call, like if you're going to give somebody 2 points for a takedown or an escape or something, 2 green takedown. Just go for it. If you're gonna be wrong, be fabulously wrong. Be boldly wrong. Own it, okay? Because being confident in yourself enough that you just do that, and being clear with your signal and saying it, will guarantee that everybody's hearing and seeing it, right? So we'll start with the takedown signal. So when we award the takedown, and you're gonna have to get used to either operating with a whistle in your mouth. So I operate with a whistle in my mouth all the time. I go 2 green takedown. What you didn't hear is 2 green takedown. Because all of a sudden they're stopping. So I'm able to do that because I got my tongue in the hole. And I'm able to 2 reversal red. Okay? So you can start to try to work on that. Otherwise, what you'll do is you can pull the whistle out of your mouth. 2 green takedown. The reason I have the whistle in my mouth is because at our level and at the middle school level and the kids club level, we got to be ready to go. You know, I can't be fumbling. Oh my gosh, he's slamming the guy. Like, I can't be wasting a half a second or a second trying to get the whistle back in my mouth. I have to be ready to go. Stop that, right? Like, so that's why we have the whistle in our mouth. If we're not having to speak loudly, we just keep it there and walk around. You know, they're wrestling. I don't need to be saying anything while they're wrestling. I might need to communicate when they score. So if you need to, and I do this when I'm in loud venues like the Tacoma Dome, for instance, because those of you that have wrestled at the Tacoma Dome, you can't hear your coach in the corner. He's just wasting his breath. You're over there, grab his ankle, and your kid's like, whatever. I can't hear you. Like, all this ambient noise of the Tacoma Dome, right? So when I'm in a place like the Tacoma Dome or a crowded gym, sometimes I'm going to pull it out of my mouth so I can be loud like that, so to make sure that people can hear. Okay? So when we do this, we're going to say 2 green takedown. Okay, and again, we're going to put it up above our head, hold it in one direction for 2 seconds, turn it 90 degrees sharply for about 2 seconds, and then if you want, try to take it around the world. But if you don't, that's okay. Because if it's up there for about 4 seconds, 2 seconds in each direction, right? They're gonna catch it. Okay? So let's start with red getting a takedown. So 2 red takedown. Let's see what you got here. Show me.
2 red takedown.
2. There you go. Good job practicing with whistling stuff. Okay. How about 2 green takedown?
2 green
takedown. And if you don't want to take it around the world, again, you can just, you hold it like that, and then like that, and then like that again, or something like, you know, you're just making sure, don't do this. That isn't actually helpful. Oh, I'm making sure at every angle they can, be confused by blurry fingers spinning quickly. So that's why I'm very deliberate with this. Just hold it and then 90 degrees versus I still see referees that do this. It's sort of like, what, and then he's dropping it like, what must happen? Okay. All right. That's a takedown. The takedown signal isn't the dipsy do either. It's not the, 2 red takedown. Some officials still do that kind of thing. Like, 2 red takedown. It's just up here. Okay. Next is, let's go with reversal. So, and what we want to do is we'll signal. This is how they record it on a score sheet. How many of you ever worked the table on a score sheet? Okay, so like R2, right? T2, okay? So you're writing that in the score sheet. So we're gonna do R2, okay? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna give 2 green reversal. We're going 2 green reversal. Because when I'm signaling this, then they know, R2. And that way I can leave this up for like 5 seconds. If I do it the other way around, I go, 2 green reversal. And then I'm waiting all that time before I do this. Like I just prefer to give it to them in the order that they're going to write it down. Okay? So, show me 2 green reversal. Crazy. Take a little while. Okay, 2 red reversal. All the way up. Get that hand above your head, okay? Don't look sleepy and unconfident. Just boom. Don't give them a reason to doubt you. Okay? Alright, next signal, escape. Now the escape signal actually isn't, you're not required to do this, not by rule. There is no signal for escape other than the 1 point, sort of like a takedown. You just signal the 1 point, so you just say 1 escape red or whatever. Now what I do, and usually what people do is they say, oh, 1 escape red, and then after they've done that, they'll do this. I actually do the reverse because, again, by rule, to earn an escape, he has to get neutral. So first thing I do is say neutral. I'm telling the wrestlers, you're neutral now. And if I have time to say neutral and put that signal up, then I also know that he's done it beyond reaction time. So that's sort of my way to build in reaction time into the whole equation too, is like he's starting to turn and face or whatever, and it's, oh, neutral, 1 escape red. So if I'm able to finish that sequence, say neutral, and put that signal up, and he's still neutral, that means he's beyond reaction time. I had one situation this year actually where I did neutral, no, and he didn't have it anymore. So no escape. I didn't go 1, I went neutral, no, not anymore, still green in control. Because the kid couldn't stay out beyond reaction time. The guy covered him again. So that's what I do. I just say neutral, 1 escape red. And then I'm going to turn it just to make sure people will see me turn it, and then they'll know, okay, it's just 1. All right, so let's give an escape to red.
Neutral.
1 escape red.
Yeah. And green, escape green.
Neutral. 1 escape green.
Okay. And the neutral signal, when you do it, your hands or palms are facing each other. There's a lot of referees that do it like this. It's wrong. Like a hold up. Yeah, I live near Federal Way, and when I was pre-meeting the Federal Way team at a bill meeting, I talked about or I was doing the inspection. They were in weigh-in line. I was like, okay, yeah, put your hands up and turn, and I go, just be careful, you don't elbow your, teammate when you're turning all that stuff. And their coach goes, yeah, they know all about, hands up, like they live in Federal Way. All right, so that's the escape. The last major one here, we'll do a couple of other signals too. The near fall. And again, I'll give the end first before I put the fingers up. So, I'm 2 near fall green, and boom, like that. Okay, so I'm hitting that shoulder first versus throwing it up, doing all that, and then at the end going, okay. So let's do two near fall for red.
2
near fall red.
There you go. Nice and crisp with your 90-degree turn. Okay. 3 near fall green.
Green.
Okay. Yeah. 4 near fall red.
4 near fall red.
Someone tell Franklin about the 4-point near fall.
It's if the referee has to stop the match, well, has to stop the match, well, someone's in good health position. So like that doesn't
No. So it happens. It's close. You got the right concept, which is you don't necessarily have to stop the match. It's that somebody's in near fall, the defensive guy's in near fall, and then he commits a violation. So he starts grabbing your head gear. He's getting pinned and he grabs his opponent's head gear. And we go, let go of that. That's a penalty. And now at that point, whatever this person earns ultimately, we're going to go to the next level of near fall award for them. So if they earned a 3-point near fall, which is the match you can sort of earn on your own, we're going to give them a 4-point near fall. Because if he cheated, well, he's getting hit, whether we stop it or not. In a worst case situation, we might stop it. So How many? What's your question? That's what I was just about going. So, how many seconds, continuous seconds, do they have to hold the person in your fault criteria to earn 2 points? 2 seconds. So 1001, 1002. So if they're in that criteria for 2 seconds, they've earned 2 points near fault. And we'll talk about this when we talk about math mechanics. Like as they earn points, it's a good mechanic. Like let's say Red's on top, he's put green onto his back, and I'm counting 1001, 1002. As soon as he's earned those 2, I'm now sort of like holding on to that. 1003, 1004. How many seconds in a row do it have to do to get 3 points? 5 seconds. 1005. See what I did with that other thing, and then oftentimes, like if I'm looking for them, I'm just gonna keep it sort of posted there so Coach over here can see. Okay, good. Hey, Ronnie, you got your 3 or whatever. Like you might want him to let him go again, or to know, don't worry, I'm just concentrate on pinning him or whatever. But this lets everyone know, okay, he's got the 3. Referee's already counted his backs, so. All right, so that's how you get a 4-point near fall. It's like he's got the 5 count, and then on top of that, he did something illegal while he was getting pinned. So if I stop it, he'll get the 4, or if I don't stop it, but I'm going to penalize him for the violation. So if he grabbed the headgear, and I go, let go of that, and he does, and I tell him, that's a penalty. Like, he's going to give up potentially the 4-point near fall, and he's going to give up 1 point for a technical violation because he grabbed the guy's uniform equipment. So he double whammy. Okay. All right. So other signals, key signals here. Start match. Start match. Again, there's like 100 varieties of this. There shouldn't be. There's one way to start a match. It's the whistle, and as you whistle, you just move your arm up. So there's a visual and an audio. Again, when you're in a really loud place at the Tacoma Dome, that person running the clock might not even hear your whistle. But if they see this, they know, okay, start it, right? It isn't. Not any of that crap. It's just this. Okay? So let's practice that. Start. You can use whichever hand you like, green or red. Just doesn't matter. So just all you're gonna do is you're gonna blow that whistle as you move your arm. So what you don't want to do is look like this. Or like get them together. Just bring your hand up above your head. So whether you're doing it with a totally straight arm or you're just sort of bending at the elbow, it's okay. Either way. Just get your hand up above your head. That's a good start. All right. It's not like there's a bunch of policemen running around in London or something. Okay. So out of bounds, or not out of bounds, stop signal. So that start is the whistle and arm up, sort of like knife edge. Okay. Not like this or whatever. It's like that. Okay. Stop signal is like halt. Like when you go, hey, halt. Hey, back off. Right? Like, that's the stop signal. It's just so your hand in that sort of halt position, like chest high. You just raise it up like that, so it just looks like this thing. And it just says stop. Okay, so try the stop signal. And one thing to be aware of, right, is, and you'll learn this as part of your confidence, is be sharp on your whistle. That's different than this, right? These guys might not have heard that, right? Or people in stands might not have heard it. But they heard that, didn't they? So it's all part of like being loud, being bold with your signals. Like that's just all part of you projecting and being confident in yourself and what you're doing. I'm just stopping it or I'm starting it. Like, why should I have any doubts about that? I'm the one in control of that. If I'm going to award points, I've decided I'm going to go for it. 2 green takedown. Just let it out and keep moving on. Okay. So start and stop. Now the other stop signal you're going to use generally is the out of bounds. Who knows what the out of bounds signal is? Boom, yeah. So technically, by rule, it's actually written in the rule book in sort of an obscure place, but what they prescribe by rule, and none of us really do this. I've seen some guys in other states do this. But they say, give the stop signal, and then because we went out of bounds, like that's a separate signal. Or we'll take shortcuts where we go illegal hold. Who knows what the illegal hold signal is? Yeah, or slam, right? So we'll take shortcuts, so we go, he's throwing a full Nelson, right? We're just throwing that up and letting everyone know that's why I'm stopping it, right? Like, because that kid's doing something illegal and I'm blowing the whistle. Technically, by rule, we should be going, not even that, it's really, and then, yeah, illegal hold by red, 1 point green. Okay, but shortcut, that's the out of bounds signal, just whistle. So, do that a couple times here. Sharp whistles now. Alright. Or if you can take this shortcut too. You see that pull off? Do that. Yeah. Okay. So those are your basic signals and whistle commands, right? That you need to know in a match. All right. So, and there's other signals. Not so worried about them. We'll talk about some of this stuff when we go through the math mechanics. Some rules I'm going to give you about certain things. I don't want you to like burden yourself trying to call very often, if at all. So let's talk about the event mechanics now. So in our next training session that we'll do online, you're going to learn about scheduling and about the arbiter system and how you receive your assignments, how you get paid, all that stuff. So we have an online system, internet-based system called Arbiter. It's the scheduling tool and the tool that pays you. All of you use phone apps, I would assume, right? Do you have to read like thick instruction manuals before you break out that new phone, before you ever punch a key? Anybody do that? No. You need to use complex instruction manuals and video tutorials to start using some game or app. No, you just start diving in and you figure it out. Right? Oh, here's where you do that. Here's where yeah. Arbiter's that way. It's pretty straightforward. You guys have been in it. No tricks, right? So you'll get. I'll get your information tonight. If you don't have all of it, you'll give me the rest of it after you get home. You'll just email it to me. But I'll set you up in the Arbiter system. That's where you'll get your assignments and say, okay, you got to be at Finn Hill at 3:45 on Thursday, February 28th or whatever. Like, that's how you'll know that stuff. Okay. And then when you work that assignment and you finish it, then I'll record that and submit a report, and it'll tell you, okay, you're getting paid $79.75. So, and then you'll actually get the money transferred to you like within 2 to 3 days. So it's a pretty good gig that not only do you make some decent money, you get paid pretty quickly. This is never. Okay. So we'll talk about all that in the next training session. But with event mechanics, it starts with getting your assignments and knowing that, okay, next Thursday you're going to be at Finn Hill or whatever, or at Mayakin, right? Like, you know that, so you're planning ahead. Like, okay, make sure that I don't have like a dentist appointment or something else. Like, I got to make sure that I'm ready for that assignment. And if it's someplace you're not familiar with, you're going to look it up online and go, okay, how far is this place to get to? Oh, it's going to take us 17 minutes to drive there. Okay, got to be there at 3:45. Guess what? Like, leave early enough. Don't leave at like 3:40. But it's going to take you 17 minutes to get there. Like, you can plan all this stuff in advance, right? So, once you arrive on site, I want you to arrive in uniform. Now, your uniform, you have most of it on right now. The rest of the uniform is black pants. So, they don't have to be anything special like that would be fine, what you got on there. Those are fine, yeah, like black pants. Don't really want the white stripes, Adidas stripes or whatever. So if you got some plain black pants, these are polyester. If you end up buying pants, buy like polyester. I know they're not probably your favorite material, but they're very durable. Like I've had these pants, I've been using them for like 7 years. They don't. If you wear cotton stuff, like those are made of cotton, I'm guessing. Like when you wear cotton stuff, that is too probably. If you're officiating, doing this stuff, you're gonna have like white knees on your cotton pants before too long, and it will never go away. But see, like I said, I've had these for like 7 years. Like they're just black. They just stay black. So black pants, black shoes, or just wear your wrestling shoes, whatever color they are. Okay. So I don't want you to invest money, a bunch of money in stuff right now. You don't have to. Just wear your wrestling shoes. Okay. And then you got the rest of the shirt, whistle, bands. Cool. Okay. Show up in uniform. So when you arrive at school, by rule, your jurisdiction actually begins the moment you arrive. So technically, like if I arrive at a site, as soon as I step out of my car in the parking lot, I'm literally on duty. That's why I come in uniform, because I might have to make a decision on something before I even get into the gym. If he's coaching and I see him over there smoking a cigarette out in the parking lot, like he's not allowed to use tobacco products. Like that's a flagrant misconduct. If I get out of my car and I see the coach doing that, it's like, dude, like now I'm going to give him a flagrant misconduct. It doesn't go over too well if you look like an undercover cop. Just some guy in a sweatshirt and sweatpants and, oh hey, you're out. I'm out, who the hell are you? Oh, I'm the referee. Really? So if I look like this, then everybody knows. So I want you to show up in uniform, because I also want them to realize, like you're high school kids. So some of the parents might be a little surprised, like, oh my gosh, like that referee's really young or whatever, but at least they know you're the referee, okay? So you show up. When you arrive on site, then the first thing I want you to do is, I want you to find the home coach, and I just want you to go up and introduce them. Hey, I'm Bob Turner. Like, hey, we started at 3:45 today, or you just do a quick check-in with them. Oh no! Like Inglewood's bus was late. We're not gonna start till 4. You know, okay. But introduce yourself to that home coach and just get the skinny from them if there's any sort of changes or anything to be aware of. Oh hey, I've got this kid. He's deaf and he has an interpreter. And oh okay, like you learn that stuff. Okay. Then there's your whatever start time is associated with the event on your assignment in Arbiter. You need to be there 15 minutes ahead of that. So, depending on which league you're operating in, Lake Washington School District, North Shore School District, or over in the Snow Cape, they have different start times. Like they don't all start at 3:30 or 4 or whatever. So, whatever the start time is listed on the event, then you need to be there 15 minutes ahead of that, so that you can do. So you got to do some pre-meet checks, okay? Not extensive. I don't expect you to do a bunch of extensive stuff, but a few basic things. Not in whatever order you want to do these. So again, safety. Look at like the setting, the mats. Make sure there isn't some gap or it's not taped or something, right? Or it's curling up or something. Or it's like, hey, coach, like, can we tape that flat? Whatever, like. Look around like, hey, that can't be on the mat or whatever. Like, just look for those basic sort of safety things. Make sure everything's okay. That there's nothing weird. Make sure that there's a garbage can nearby and a blood station, blood cleanup, whatever blood treatment kind of place where they got the solution, the paper towels, maybe the cotton balls for the nose or something. Like, make sure that stuff's there. Okay. Make sure that by rule the benches are supposed to be 10 feet away from the edge of the mat, but some gyms are smaller, they don't have room for that. Don't get hung up on that, but let's just make sure that the chairs aren't like right up against the mat edge and the kids' feet are on the mat while they're sitting on the bench. Like they don't have to be. Like, there's room, like they need to be back a few feet so that we don't have wrestlers like running into kids' feet or chairs. as they're sort of tumbling out of bounds. Okay, so we're just gonna check some of that basic setup of the facility, make sure that looks good in your mind, and then brief the table crew real quick. Just get engaged. Some places you go, you're lucky, they'll have adults working at the table, like teachers that work at the school or administrators. Other places you go, like when I was up in Ball 2 weeks ago, is 2 middle school kids. Have you ever done this before? Have you? No. Have you ever towel tapped? No. Okay, none of them. All right. So, not that you necessarily are equipped to train them up because you may not know or feel that confident yourself, but at a minimum, I just want you to be aware, okay, like this kid has never run that clock before. Because now I'm gonna be on the lookout, like blowing whistle, like double checking, is the clock starting? Like I blew the whistle, then stop the clock. So just get engaged at a minimum, like, hey, have you done it? Have you catch score before? Okay, great. Like, have you run that clock before? Yeah, okay. So just helps you with your own awareness. I'm gonna leave. The reason I'm putting minimal sort of pre-meet stuff on you guys is because I'm just gonna leave it on the coaches, sort of make sure stuff's in order. Like for you guys as high school kids trying to run a dual meet or whatever, like I don't want to again try to overburden you with a bunch of like procedures that aren't really sort of critical procedures for you as much as they are like the head coach at that school or whoever set up the gym. Like they need to be aware of some of that stuff. So if they're gonna stick people at the table that have never done the job, they're gonna live with that. Like if those people are making mistakes. With me, I'm experienced. Like I can teach those people what to do. I don't expect you to be able to teach those people. So if they're screwing up, those teams are going to suffer, and that's not really on you. Other than again, be aware of oh crap, they don't know what they're doing. So give them a little bit of instruction, whatever you can do to help them. But if it's that bad, like it's just really up to the coaches at some point. Sometimes the coach will go there, here I'll take score or whatever, like because they don't want to get screwed up. Okay, so check out the table group now. Do a quick check of the wrestlers. So just tell them, hey, Finn Hill, line up your wrestlers on the sideline there. Take your warm-ups off, straps up. Same with you guys over here, Micah. Like, okay, and then just with their sweats off, and they're just like, let me see your nails. Like, and you don't have to do a fancy inspection. It's like, just look at them, just make sure there's nothing weird. So it's, especially the stuff that you can prevent. It's sort of like, hey, all of you, like, again, you gotta have those shoes tied. If they come untied during the match, it's stalling. Like like we're trying to avoid stuff happening out there. Okay, so or some kid is like, got some piece of equipment that you're going, okay, no, you can't wear that, or but hey, make sure to take that wristwatch off. Like, stuff like that, because they'll forget. So you just sort of go down the line real quick, just to make sure there's not something really funky that you have to deal with. And then, okay, yeah, and after I check, you just put your warm-ups on, okay, and then you're over here. So it's really that quick. That way, if you look at a kid, he's got like, panther claws, and you're gonna, hey, coach, like, this kid needs to put his nails. He looks like a tiger. So, other than that, then at that point, you're kind of ready for the duel. Now, I'm just gonna tell you that instead of trying to manage the coin flip and odd and even and who has choice, like just tell the home coach, hey coach, in the second round we'll just flip the coin. Now if the coach pushes back on it, I go, no, like we have the captains and odd and even and all that stuff, okay. But if you can get away with it, you say, hey, we're just gonna flip the coin, because what happens in these meets, it gets confusing. It's like, all right, these guys picked odd. Green picked odd, red's got the even match. It's great. First is a forfeit at 80 pounds. Double forfeit at 85. Forfeit for these guys at 90. Okay, great. We got a match at 95. First round pin. Finally, at 100 pounds, we actually make it to the second round. Like, who the hell has choice? I don't. Which bout are we on? Like, I haven't even had anybody have choice yet. So, and don't count on that scorekeeper to be able to tell you. So that's why I just say, if you can just get away with, hey, we're just going to flip the coin, because now I don't have to remember anything. It's like, okay, second period, here we go. All right, green, you have choice. Like, it'll be easy for you and everyone else. Okay, that's why I give you the coin. Okay, coin's got green on one side, red on the other. Okay, so just tell them that. Okay, if they want to do the thing with the captains, come and shake hands. That's fine. Go ahead and have the captains come out to the center, shake hands with them. Hey, good luck, guys. And just remind them, be good sports. Set the example for your team. Okay, off we go. So. Then we're gonna have a series of dual meets. Boom, 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 boom. We may have a series of exhibition matches. So after the heavyweight battle's over, and you're raising some dude's hand, and now they're going, okay, hey, we got these two kids, and then these two, and then these two. Now we'll cover this in our next training session. But every one of those extra matches, you're gonna get paid $2.75. So imagine this: I was down at Cedar Heights. Thomas Taylor's new team down in Maple Valley 2 weeks ago, doing a dual meet there. After we finished the varsity dual meet, then they had a bunch of exhibitions. So they're throwing 2 kids out at me at a time, right? Did 12 exhibition matches. 10 of them didn't get beyond 30 seconds. 1,001, literally somebody getting pinned in like 12 seconds. Okay, 2 more, 24 seconds, 19 seconds. Like 10 matches. Like I did 12 exhibition matches. It took all of about probably 15 minutes. That was an extra like $30. So when they want to throw exhibitions at you, you're like, oh, by all means, every 6th grader. How about that person up in the stand? Sure, let's bring them all. So. Especially if they're getting pinned quick or whatever, like it's like that's like easy money. But you do the dual meet, they throw exhibitions at you, do those, right? And then what happens at the end of the varsity dual meet, you'll go over to sign the scorebook. Now, nobody's probably following up on this, but by rule, you're required to go sign the rulebook. When you sign, or not the rulebook, the scorebook, when you sign the book, not that this is going to be consequential for you in what you're officiating now, but that marks the end of that contest. We can no longer, do something that is going to affect the results of that duel meeting. It's over. Your jurisdiction ends at that point. So you can't go, hey, I'm going to penalize you. Hey, add 1 more team point to these guys. Now they win. I'm like, can't do that. Yeah, we'll cover that in the next session. But so in a very worst case scenario, when let's say there are no exhibitions, or they did the exhibitions before the varsity, and you do the varsity dual meet, it's over, heavyweight, okay, they go shake hands, great. You go over to the table, you sign the book, and then you turn around, and I've had this happen actually on very rare occasion, 3 or 4 years. You're the fucking worst rep I've ever seen. It's an honor to be the best or worst of anything in somebody's mind, like to be at that extreme. But anyway, like at that point, like I can't penalize the guy. My jurisdiction is over. So my jurisdiction begins the moment I get out of my car and I catch him chewing tobacco in the parking lot. I haven't even been in the gym yet, and I'm making a call. But after I sign that scorebook, I can no longer make any calls. So if something like that were to ever happen, you can't like penalize the guy. You can't kick him out. But what you'll do is you will tell the coach, like, coach, did you see what your kid just did? Like, you're not gonna let him get away with that. You're gonna leave it to the coach or the athletic director or somebody, the gym manager, like, hey, that guy right there, like he just spit at me or whatever, like that guy with blue coat or whatever, like you're just gonna tell somebody in charge so that they can handle it. Okay?
Do you sign the book before or after the JV matches?
So unless they're doing a JV dual meet, you won't sign anything for the exhibitions. Yeah, you won't sign anything for the exhibitions. So unless it's an actual JV dual, like I did a JV dual meet down in Tahoma a week and a half ago, where they did a JV meet of the Summit Trail or Maple View versus Matson. And we ran a series of JVs, and then Matson won like 34-30 or whatever, and then now we did varsity.
So you sign that book after all all wrestling includes, or is it this, if the duel's over and they wanna run the exhibition at the end, or does it?
Sign it after the duel's over. So because again, that marks the end of that. So, and then, go ahead. Not if it's a dual meet. So again, like what I experienced down there in Tahoma was it was like, okay, yeah, we're doing JV meet. Okay. So they were running them through it, you know, from the lower weight classes on up. It wasn't random matches. It was like these are kids matched up by weight class, and it's all going towards a team score. When you do exhibitions, they're not keeping any team score. You see the match score of 5-3 or whatever, but it's not like, oh, it's 18-12, 18-15. Like they're not going to do that.
I forgot.
All right, so sign that book. Then the next thing you're gonna do.
Oh, sorry, I remember.
Okay.
So you said once you sign the book, your jurisdiction, but then let's say after that you have an exhibition match, does your jurisdiction restart?
Yes, it's just that again, the jurisdiction for that dual meet, or that contest, like exhibitions. The reason we call them exhibitions is not generally a true contest. There's really only kind of two kinds of competitions by rule: a dual meet and a tournament. There's no such thing as a takedown tournament or a jamboree or a scrimmage, or those are all things we make up and we do, but they're not by rule actual official contests. So when we're doing exhibitions, we're not really involved in an official contest per se. Okay, that's why there's nothing to sign. But if you're doing exhibition matches, you have full jurisdiction. So if that thing happens where that kid walks up because you're the head coach forever, then I will penalize him or kick him out, or whatever I have to do, because I'm still on duty. But if you sign the book and then you don't have anything else to do now, you're going to leave. So on your way out, if there's no ill will, then it's okay to go, hey, nice job by your guys today, coach. Good luck. Hey, good job by your kids today too. Go ahead. If there's not a good feeling, there was some controversial calls, somehow he's agitated, like just get the hell out of there. Don't engage in discussions with him. Hey, hey, I gotta go, coach. Just, I'm late for a piano lesson. We got school play, practice, rehearsal, whatever. Like, just go. So just leave. Like, there's, but if the coaches if people are in the right frame of mind, which was, hey, come on over here, let me talk to you. Pretty good job today, but just a couple things I wanted to tell you. Like, okay, like, just take your mental notes. Like, oh, okay, yeah. Like, watch for the out of bounds. Like, you should stand here instead of on the other side of them or whatever. Like, oh, okay. So, if it's that kind of constructive thing, then go ahead and engage. But if it looks like it's just going to be an axe grinding session, like, just, you know what? Yeah, I have to get the car home. My mom needs it. Like, sorry. Like, I don't have time to talk. What's that? All right, so let me give you, before we talk math mechanics, I'm going to give you a few guiding principles. Rule or guiding principle. Working with kids at this level, you are allowed to sort of give them guidance. I officiate high school wrestling and I pre-meet everyone. I tell them that I will not give them instruction. That's not my job, that's coaching. With these kids, it's okay to sort of help them along. They're developing, let's give them a good experience. Let's not, have some kid disqualified because he got stalled out, or, he's losing because he got 15 cautions in a row. Like, we're not gonna do that. So we're gonna do things like the kids down there on the mat, he just clammed up, and so instead of just going, all right, I'm gonna start hitting it for stalling, you're gonna go, come on, bottom man, you gotta try something now. Come on, you gotta try to get up. Like, you're just gonna talk to him to help him learn, versus going, well, stalling, okay, well, still not moving, I'm stalling again, let's just talk to him, okay? Or they get in the wrong starting position, help them get in the right position without cautioning them necessarily, just correct them and get them into the right spot, okay? So that's one thing. You can talk them through some stuff. Hey, be careful. It's potentially dangerous. You can talk to them regardless because that's for safety purposes. Say, well, careful with that shoulder now, or make sure you can breathe in there, right? Like that's good stuff to tell somebody so they don't hurt the opponent. Okay. So you can give them guidance, like even a little coaching, okay, to help them along, especially if they're like really, really green. Okay. I want you to have a bias towards not really calling violations, other than the blatant ones. So if somebody puts on a full Nelson, yeah, just call it. You guys all know what a full Nelson is. You've probably been guilty of throwing one or two every time, right? So thing is, if they do that, just call it, okay? But don't call stalling. I'm just gonna put that out to you. Do not call stalling unless the kid's own mother is yelling at you to get their son installed. If she's doing that, then okay, you know what? Feel empowered. Stalling is a controversial call. If you call stalling, somebody's going to be upset. Half the gym might be upset. That other team, that coach might be upset. Stalling call not made is forgotten. The stalling call you make is never forgotten. If you call one of their kids in an early bout for stalling, you know what you're going to hear for the next 15 minutes? Whoa, he's stalling now. He's stalling. You're going to hear that all meet now. What about that other guy? You hit my kid. I don't want you to buy that. I don't want you to buy a ticket to that event. So you're not going to call stalling at all. Like you're just going to tolerate a lot of nonsense, nothingness, instead of calling stalling, unless it's so obvious. Again, like the kid's own coach is telling hit him with stalling. All right, yeah, we agree then. Oh, great. There's no controversy. Or if the kid's running backwards 100 miles an hour out of bounds all the time, everybody in the place is gonna go. You may tolerate that once or twice, right? Come on, you gotta stay in there. Okay, he's not doing it. Now when I do that, everybody in the place is gonna agree with me. But I don't want you to stay away from any stalling call where it's not 100% unanimous, because it's just gonna breed trouble. And it's not really going to make a big difference in the contest. If the kids are that lousy and they're both stalling, it doesn't do any good to stall them both out. And they're not going to get it anyway if you hit them with stalling when they're both doing it. So they're just going to fumble their way through 4.5 minutes of probably very dull wrestling. And you're probably just going to let it happen and go, whatever. I hope one of you gets a takedown or an escape or something. Somebody win this thing. Let's get it over with, okay? So that's second rule. Don't call stalling, okay? Unless it's so obvious that everybody will agree with you. Which basically means you're not going to call it at all, probably. Don't call cautions. So, like I said, help them learn the right starting position. So, the defensive starting position, by rule, they're not allowed to touch the lines with their hands or knees. So the hands have to be in front of this line without touching it, parallel to each other. So it can't be like this. And actually the heels of the hand have to be in contact with the mat. So you're not allowed to do this or this. So that by rule, that's okay. And then the knees have to be parallel and behind the line without touching it too. So it can't be like this or like that. And then the opponent has to be able to assume the legal starting position too, so you can't be the guy can't put a tight waist on you or whatever, you can't get his hand around your waist. So that's the bottom position. So if they don't get lined up right, or you're gonna get this stuff, I guarantee you. It's okay, red, you're on bottom. Turn this way. Yeah. See, put your hands in front of that line. Don't touch the line. Now put your knees behind that line. Okay. Don't move until I blow the whistle. You may come down and stuff like that, right? Just do it. But help the kid learn the starting position. So don't just tolerate that, okay, he lines up like this, and you just I'll ignore it. No, help him learn it. Now, so don't call cautions, just coach them. The one exception to this is if you have a true knucklehead and you're just getting tired of giving the same damn correction. Second time, it's like, okay, remember, I told you don't touch the lines. Third time, okay, remember, don't touch the line. Like, if you just get tired, it's like, all right, caution green. Don't touch the lines. Come on. Like, oh, that's sorry. So, if he's that irritating you, then caution him because it might wake him up a little bit. It'll wake his coach up. This coach will go, I gotta work on that guy. Okay. From the offensive starting position, by rule, they're required to have palm on the belly. Palm goes from here to here, so just be aware. Like my palm's on the belly there. It's on the belly there. So, oh, he's got a tight waist. If I think his heel of his hand's on the belly button, that's good enough. Okay. This is not on the belly button now. Yeah. That is a tight waist there. But so, palm on the belly, palm behind the elbow. And behind the elbow, Henry, come over here. I'll just sort of demonstrate, sort of face that way. So, traditional like that, right? You guys do that kind of thing, right? But it can be like that. Or guys do this, or this. Every single one of those things that I showed you, where's my palm? It's behind his elbow. So, as long as the palm's behind the elbow, I don't care how he's got his hand turned or twisted or fingers, 4 fingers and the thumb, or all 5 on, it doesn't, who cares? Palm behind the elbow, that's all. It doesn't even have to be touching the elbow, just behind the elbow. Like, he needs to be touching the arm, like, with something, because we can't leave this guy guessing, like, hey, is he in position? Like, he needs to, like, feel his opponent's on top, because if we didn't make him touch, he might be wondering, hey, well, hey, he wasn't even, I didn't know we were ready, like, so, it's gotta be touching, but palm doesn't have to be touching. It just be the fingers. Okay? Or the palm could be touching, but not the fingers. You could have like this for all I know. Okay. I'll show you a really goofy thing. Come on over here. This, for whatever reason, this was like popular like 25 years ago. Oklahoma State, I think, was doing this. And this is a legal starting position. It took a little gymnastics to get into this position. So they would start by putting their palm behind the elbow here, and they would put their palm on the belly here, and then by rule they're required to have a knee down on the near side. The near side is whichever side you put the palm by the elbow. So in this case, this is the near side, and the side is here. So it's a plane right here. Once I get behind over here somewhere, I'm not alongside anymore. I'm behind. So they would do this. I have a knee down on the near side, and I'm not allowed to have touching him with my legs, and I'm not allowed to have my knee in front of his knees, like beyond his knees, right? This is a legal front and head above the back. Everything about this position is perfectly legal. It looks totally bizarre. Nobody does it anymore. I don't know why they did it back then. I think they did it because they wanted to be able to go right off the bat, right? So right into that head arm. But so.
So anything about the back knee, as long as it's not touching, so a certain spot has to be.
No, as long as it's not touching back there, his rear end or his legs. He has to have a foot. He has to have a foot behind that guy's feet. So whatever the plane, like if I'm the defensive wrestler, there's a plane there too of both my feet. So this line right here sort of represents that plane. And that means the defensive or the offensive wrestler has to have a foot behind the feet. So I can't have my feet all in front of like his feet. One of the foot has to be there. So I could have both knees down if I want. I could have this knee up if I wanted, with this one down, like.
That position is still legal, right?
What's that?
Nowadays, it's still legal.
Yeah. It fulfills every bit of the rule I just told you.
Right. Just checking.
Yeah. There's a thing in wrestling, like sometimes you see stuff that surprises you and it just looks weird, but it's legal. Like I had this when I was here for double duel when Redmond was here. There were 2 girls wrestling. Girl had her hair in a, knotted, like braided bun kind of ponytail thing, right? So there's like this knob of hair back here. Her opponent throws a half Nelson on her, threads that half in there. Her hand is sitting on top of that knob of hair, and then she just like closes her fingers around that knob of hair. And I'm looking at that and I'm going, in my mind, I'm going, oh, this looks weird. Like, wait, something can't be right here. Like, and then I'm in my mind, I'm going, but there's no violation there. Like, she's got her fingers around that bun. She's not yanking it or doing something, illegal with it, like causing pain or, pulling her hair or something. It's like, it's just sitting there. Like, it was kind of in her way. It's on the back of the girl's neck where she's putting the half Nelson. So she got the hand and just sort of like holding a handle or a knob of a door. She closed her hand on it and then she's like just pressing that half Nelson down. So she wasn't pulling it. She's just running the half and the pressure's just going down. And the whole time I'm thinking, God, that just looks weird. That's just all. It's just weird. It's legal and it's weird. And okay, 1001. Put her in your paw. I was like, okay. It just looks weird. That's all. So that's what that started with. It just looks weird, but it's legal.
Is there a limit on how many fingers need to be on them? Because I think there would be some way to trick someone by just like putting your finger there but having your palm still on it.
No, as long as you're touching it, right? Because then, like I said, he knows, okay, you're on. Like, if you're not touching him at all, he's probably thinking, well, he still hasn't gotten into position yet. And he would be surprised if he blew the whistle to start action because he's thinking, well, this guy isn't even on me yet. So he just, as long as the palm's behind and he's touching him, like, you're good. With one finger, or just the thumb, whatever, like, all 5 fingers. Okay. So make sure, just help them get in the right position. Neutral starting position, foot on the line. So there's some extremes here I'll illustrate for you. This is the red line. My foot is on the line. Same like we were demonstrating with the out of bounds over there. I'm touching the line with this foot. 99.9% of my foot is in front of the line, but 0.1% is touching the line, and that counts. So I have to be touching the line with one foot. Okay? They have to be stationary in all these positions. So sometimes it's kind of problematic. You get some of these kids are like, and I have to stationary. Okay, so they have to be stationary. One foot touching the line. The other foot has to be behind the foot on the line or on the line extended. So the line extended is if you just sort of shot this out imaginarily, right, from there. So here's an extreme. This foot's on the line, right? Okay. This foot, is this on the line extended? It is, he can see it.
Oh,
The heel is, like, I ran this line out. So even though this foot's kind of in front of that one, isn't it? This is legal. This is an extreme. And they're not allowed to touch the mat in front of the foot on the line. Meaning, sometimes you see kids are doing this. They put those fingers down like they're in a football stance almost. That's not legal. Can't touch the mat in front of the foot on the line. But, so I'll give you a complete extreme, right? So there's foot on the line extended. Looks kind of weird, but it's still legal. It's not in front of the foot on the line. So he's touching the mat, but not in front of the foot on the line. Or another extreme. This is a legal starting position, neutral position. I'm not required to be standing. I just have to have a foot on the line, is all it tells me. So if I'm laying down with one foot on the line, nothing's touching the mat in front of the foot on the line. This foot's behind the foot on the line. All legal. So those are extremes. Just help the kids learn starting positions. Okay, so coach them into them, and don't caution them unless you're just irritated because the guy hasn't learned to put the foot on the line, and it's the 5th time. Like I say, how hard is that? Just put that foot on the line, please. Okay, so no cautions will help them. Caution by exception because he's a dunderhead. Bias about being deliberate with your calls. Okay, so when you're going to award control for a takedown or a reversal or an escape. You're gonna say that they're neutral, whatever. Like, I always give people this guidance when they're officiating at middle school level. If that kid has control, if you think he has control right now, he'll have it a second from now. So don't go, oh, there's two, oh, but now two reversals. Like, no, you know what? Go in your mind. I think he's got to wait 1 second. Oh, wait a second. It's already lost. So if he really has control, he'll have it a second from now. So just be slow with it, award it. Like, you don't need to be. This isn't college. We don't need to go, oh, he's instantly got him. Like, those are world-class athletes. These are not. So you're gonna see situations where you kind of think like, come on over here, Winston. You're gonna see stuff like this happen where it's like, these guys are so new, and this guy snaps him down here, and they're like this, and then this kid's coming around, and you're thinking, so just stand your hands and knees in. You're thinking, okay, I'm gonna get this takedown, right? And then he just kind of stops here. This guy doesn't have his leg ready. You're just like, you're thinking, come on, kid, just like go just a little bit further around behind him, and I'll give you a takedown. Instead, he's like this, and you're like, gee, so it's not tight base again. And then all of a sudden, this kid starts to base. Next thing you know, we're back in a. So that's why you're going to be deliberate about control, because these guys sometimes they don't even know what they're doing. So don't be fooled by the appearance of, well, those body positions that looks like it should be control. Yeah, it probably should, but that guy is like so new, he doesn't even know what the hell he's doing. So, like, you know, just let it settle. And if he's not going to hook his leg or go around behind him, they're going to go like, no control yet. Like, nothing's stopping you. We're not gonna coach him that way. They go, hey, just rotate another quarter turn. Like, come on. We're not gonna coach him into that.
Did you apply the same rules for clasping like that?
Yeah. So with clasping, again, you gotta be more deliberate about calling. Not like, oh, they touched and they brushed each other. Oh, there's locking hands. No. Like, if he locks them and then they're kind of there beyond reaction time, or he uses it. Like, he locks it and uses it to break the kid down or stop him or something. We're just going to call it for that. Okay. So, but, and the illegal holds we're going to call if we see them. But you can avoid illegal holds by using the potentially dangerous. So, safety, this is a guideline for you. Safety is paramount. If that kid says they're hurt, call injury timeout. Get pinned and he goes, I can't breathe, blow the whistle and give it. Even if you go, I think this kid's faking it. Like, that's not up to you. Just protect him. Okay? They're only allowed to take 2 injury timeouts. If the guy ends up doing that a third time, he's gonna lose. So there's a consequence to that stuff. So but your job is to protect them. And one of the ways you can protect them is just like, if you don't like the way something looks, just blow the whistle and stop it. The coach, it just didn't look good. You don't have to have any justification other than, hey, it was for safety, coach. Like, he had that ankle pulled in a really weird way and he wanted to get hurt. Okay, everybody can accept that. Okay. So you can avoid calling some illegal holds, like especially things like bar arms, where you're kind of worried that, hey, watch that shoulder, or like instead of like just ringing the kid up for an illegal hold, you just say, watch that arm, okay? Careful with that shoulder. There's a difference between a guy like taking a chicken wing and running straight up with force towards the, parallel to the spine versus perpendicular the way it's supposed to be. Versus the hand is just kind of there. It's not really running or anything, but you're just like, hey, watch it, make that legal. Like, let's go straight across his back, and you're like, okay, no, like, because they're squirming around a little bit. And you're like, he's not jamming it so hard that it's like gonna instantly like injure that kid. So instead, you're just sort of like, okay, that doesn't look good, right? So you're biased towards safety. If they scream out or they want timeout, give it to them. If you see something that you don't like the look of, don't matter if they're in the middle of a takedown, reversal, or near fall, whatever it is, like, if you don't like the look of it, just stop it. Just say, yeah, I just didn't feel good. I didn't think you could breathe in there or whatever. Like, just tell them why you stopped it. If it's for safety reasons, then they're going to accept it, okay? Again, the most important thing I want you to do is protect these kids. Some of them are going to cry out because they're scared. Not because they're actually hurt, but that's not your job to discern practice because they're scared, they're afraid because they're getting pinned or whatever, you know what? Like, that's fine. We're stopping the match. He's getting an injury timeout, and hopefully he grows up and learns to deal with it. Okay. Last thing is on interactions with coaches. Some coaches are sort of worse about this than others, that they always want to have discussions about every call. They want to interrupt the match. Because, how's that a takedown? Like, you know, in sports, the officials do not owe coaches explanations of, hey, how's that a strike? You can imagine a baseball game, how long it would take if you were allowed to contest every ball and strike, and they're throwing 120 pitches into the game. Whoa, how's that a ball? Dude, at some point you just have to accept it. It's a ball because I'm standing here, I'm looking, you're over there, you don't even know. Like, you don't owe explanations to coaches about your calls. If they want to have a conference, they can call for a conference. Like, by rule, and you're not going to follow this rule, but by rule, if they have a conference and it's just like the red challenge flag of football, who's seen that, right? You throw the challenge flag, all right, they're going to do a replay, and if they don't side with you, you lose that flag and you lose a timeout. You don't get to throw the flag anymore, and you've lost the timeout. So guess what? You don't just throw flags every play. Hey, how's that offsides? How's my guy holding? Like, we don't do that. So we don't do it in this sport either. So at your level, though, I don't want you to get into coaches' conferences and coach misconduct and all that stuff. Like, if a coach asks you something, just give them an answer. But here's my guidance to you: don't look them in the eye if you're officiating a match. Officiating out of bounds. Hey, where's the near fall? No near fall. See what I just did there? I answered your question, but I didn't look you in the eye. Guess what happens? I go out of bounds. Hey, where's the near fall? Oh, no near fall. Hey, what? Now guess what happens if I take my eyes and turn my back? I'm ignoring him, disrespecting you. Oh, hey, don't turn your back at me. If I never looked at you, it's a whole different contract. Out of bounds. No takedown. No takedown. Didn't have control. We're neutral. So you got your answer, but you didn't get to play the game. Oh, you're not respecting me. Come here. No. Keep your eyes on me. Don't walk away from me. Because what we don't want to get into is, again, we're having discussions about calls, and now the meet takes an extra hour because they want an explanation every single time, and they don't. That's not good for the sport. So just answer their question and move on. Don't look them in the eye. If they are insistent, then fine. You know what? Like, all right, like, we're gonna go talk about it. And you're not gonna penalize them for it. But if it's somebody who wants to abuse that, is constantly want to give their kid a timeout because they're in trouble, they're tired, like, at some point you can cut it off and just say, Coach, no, we've already had like 4 discussions at the table. Like, we'll talk about it after the meeting. Okay. You're in control when you administer a meeting, so some of you, it's an uncomfortable position because you're only like freshman in high school, right? Like, and you're gonna have power over guys like Henry's age or Coach Corbett's age or my age, right? Like, you literally could kick us out of the gym. You have that power. I hope you don't use that power that way, but you have that power. So don't be, don't let them like intimidate you like you're a kid, and they just do whatever they want to you. But try to, again, maintain good relations with them and listen to the feedback that they give you. Okay? So coach engagements, that's the way we want to work it when there's matches in progress. If there's not a match in progress, that's fine. We can have a discussion about something. Hey, I want to talk to you about that last reversal call in that last match, right? So sure. But yeah, coach, the reason I did is because, like, that kid was on his back and then he was like fighting to get off his back. That's why I thought the other guy had the reversal at that point. He's like, that was earning their fault. You just tell him what you think. He doesn't have to agree with you, you don't have to agree with him. Especially if it's a call that isn't going to change it. It's in the past. But we'll do our best to sort of be cordial with people, but not abuse the system. Okay? All right. So those are just a couple of guidelines and ground rules for you. Other than that, right, your goal is to make sure the kids have a good experience and that you don't become sort of an excessive factor in anything. They don't go, oh my gosh, like, it's because of you that the kid got injured, or it's because of you that you are with your phantom pins. Like the kids' shoulders aren't down and you're pinning my guys. Like I've had high schoolers that did that kind of thing. It's like I learned from a coach, like coaches you didn't talk to that kid. Like he's calling pins and like the shoulders weren't even down. And then I watched the kid and I'm like, oh my gosh, he is. He's like he's calling a pin like that other shoulder is like 3 inches off the mat. So that kind of stuff might happen. So we don't want to be that person. So doing some training here, as long as you're not doing something obnoxious like that, you're gonna be in good shape. Okay. And protect the kids, they have a good experience. We want them to have a good experience because we want them to come back next year. We want them to be wrestling when they're in high school like you guys are. Okay. All right. Let's talk about mat mechanics now. So this is gonna be sort of the final portion of our training tonight. We're gonna knock this out in about a half hour. So starts with starting a match. I'm going to teach you a procedure for starting a match, and we can all learn this together. And if you just memorize this sort of approach, you just repeat it every single time you start a match. So I'm going to start a match. Match has 1.5 rounds in middle school, so 3 rounds of 1 minute and a half each. Okay, so I'm going to stand right here in the very center of the mat, in between the 2 starting lines, because I just want to make sure that when kids come out here, if they come out, that they know we're not wrestling until I get out of your way. Like, so nobody be confused as to when we're starting wrestling, because I'm not going to get out of the way until a couple of things happen. So you're going to look at the scoreboard, and you're going to see, does it say 1.5 minutes, period 1, 0, 0? Okay. Because if it doesn't, it still says 5 to 2, period 3. Like you're going to tell it, hey, scorekeeper, like, you want them to get that clock all set. So we're looking at that. Now, we're going to have the wrestlers going to come out. So Alex and Henry, you guys will be the wrestlers. So they'll check in at the table, and then they'll come out. As they come out, you just sort of give them a head to toe. Just make sure they're not like wearing like a wristwatch or doing something goofy, right? Like, make sure their uniform's okay. Okay. We're going to shake their hand. Hey, good luck. Good luck. Now, we're going to double check if the clock wasn't ready before. We're going to, okay, good. Finally, it says 1.5 minutes, 0, 0, period 1, right? So now they're out here. I'm still in their way. So the next thing, if that clock is ready, that's the signal to me that that timekeeper's ready. But I'm going to confirm with that timekeeper every single time. Timekeeper ready? And again, if they're paying attention, they're going to give me the thumbs up or the nod to me back. If they're not, because they're on their cell phone, and the other person working the score sheet going, hey, he's oh, yeah. So I want to make sure that person's ready. So, okay, ready? Great. They're ready. I've already shaken these kids' hands. So the next thing I'm going to do is a little dance step here. So I got both feet planted between them at the moment. First thing I'm going to do, and you're going to do, I don't do this at the high school level, but you can do it at the middle school level. The high school level, I just say starting positions. At this level, just go ahead and say, foot on the line. So see what I just did? I took 1 foot back, right? Yeah, you can do the extreme. So, foot on the line. Now, I'm going to move this foot back, and I'm going to tell them, shake hands. And I'm going to keep this barrier between them here, because I don't want them to jump start, okay? So they got a toll gate here. They're shaking hands, great. And then the next thing I'm doing is I'm just, so this whole sequence, right? When you get to higher level wrestling, you have to be careful, because once we put these wrestlers in starting position, like a place like Matt Classic, they're spring loaded. They want to go. You don't want to be going, okay, on lines. Hey, the score. Can you clear that off? Oh, yeah. Like, you don't want to confuse these guys, or you don't want to go, okay, in your starting positions, and then you're not ready to go, and all of a sudden this guy's shooting in and hyperextending his knee. Because at a high level, they're going to do that kind of stuff. So that's why we're keeping them blocked with this toll gate. So they know, okay, now I'm going to go through that. So it goes very quickly, right? Because it's sort of like, okay, great. Timer ready? Starting positions? Shake hands. See how long that whole sequence took? It took like 2 seconds. I don't want these guys hanging out like, they're ready to go, and then suddenly, oh, wait a minute, can you wipe the scoreboard off? Like, these guys want to go, and I'm like, futzing around with something I should have taken care of before I ever put them in position. Once I put them in position, starting positions, shake hands, boom, it's gone. Now, what happens is, I said, okay, put on the line, shake hands. I just want to see where I'm at. If this guy wants to shoot right off the whistle, I'm not in his way, right? Because when I do this, he's got no obstacle. If I was standing here, and you see a lot of officials do this, bugged the heck out of me when I used to coach. Just sort of like, because I was teaching my kids, like, shoot right off the whistle. No waiting, no tying up, just boom. You just take advantage of that guy. And here's an official. We're like, okay, you ready? Let's go. He's in the way. He's taking away one of my kids' weapons. So, put it on the line, shake hands. I'm blocking this, but not there. And then you see, by the time I'm done blowing whistle, I'm already outside the 10-foot circle. And I'm going to continue backing up, make sure I'm out of their way completely. So that's the little dance step. It's just, all right, that's ready. I've shaken this kid's hand before at some point. Timer ready, break. First foot back, starting positions or starting line, foot on the line. Next foot back, shake hands, full gate. Blowing whistle, signal for start, and stepping out of the way. Boom, wrestling happens. Okay, that's the dance step. So everybody on your feet, let's practice our dance step. And this is just a process I use every time, and I want everybody to just learn this process because you do this procedure, it just becomes like how many of you golf? Any of you golf? Yeah, golf swing. The trick in golf is to have a very repeatable swing. That's what this is. This is a repeatable thing. Boom, 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 boom. I do this at state tournament. I do it with middle school. I do it with kids club. Like it just boom, boom, boom. Okay. So we're standing in the middle. What are we looking at first? Look at the scoreboard. Let's make sure that that's ready to go. If it's not, what are we gonna do? Tell the timekeeper or whoever's running that thing. Hey, okay, okay. So meanwhile, the wrestlers might come out because they checked in. So if they're coming out, what are you doing? You're gonna stand between them, but what else are you gonna do as they're walking out? Stand. Make sure you get his headgear on. You know, again, doesn't have a rubber wristband or something or a watch. Like just. And again, if they come out and they're not ready to wrestle, again, I don't want you to stir up country. Oh, technical violation, injury time. Let's correct that. Like at the high school level, that's what we're gonna do. At this level, just hey, take that wristband off, like throw it over to the bench or whatever. Like, unless the other coach, that's a technical violation. If he wants to insist on it, then give it to him. Otherwise, like you're not going to call that. But you're watching them as they sort of walk out. Make sure that by the time they get out here, and you're going to be ready to put them in starters, that you feel comfortable that that kid's ready to wrestle. Okay? He doesn't have a wristwatch on, headgear on, all that kind of stuff, right? Okay. So now that they're both out, once they come out there, what are we doing when they come out? Shake hands with them. Yeah, just wish them luck. Sometimes they'll do funny things like, because I do this like, hey, good luck, and they go, yeah, good luck to you too. Like, I'm not the one that needs the luck. Or I had a kid do this at a league tournament once. Winner goes to regionals, loser stays home the next weekend, and he's got a really tough kid he's got to wrestle that he's wrestled a couple times during the season. So he comes out first, and I'm like, hey, good luck. He goes, yeah, I'm gonna need it. So anyway, we shake their hands. Now that they're kind of standing out there, you're in between them. Now what? So, well, before that, as long as the clock's ready and everything. So now what? Timer ready, and then wait for them to give you an acknowledgement. Yes, and if they're not acknowledging, because again they're on their cell phone or they're goofing around with the classmates sitting in the front row back here, so like you just kind of timer, like like just be like a teacher, right? Like come on, like okay, there you go. Finally, yeah, okay, good. So now you got the confirmation. Now what? Okay, so start foot on the line, 1 foot back as we say that. So foot on the line. What's the next step? Foot back, shake hands. So foot back, and let's extend our arms out to say shake hands. So So we got our toll gate there. As they're shaking hands, you can drop one of your hands because you're ready. Because the next thing you're gonna do is step back further. Okay? That's the dance step. So let's do it again. So let's assume everything's good to go. You just checked with the timer, they're ready to go. So take me through the steps. Starting line, 1 foot back. As he says, foot on the line. Okay. Next step. Your hands, step back again. Arm extended as a toll gate. And then what? And step back again. So that's your dance step, okay? So just practice that on your own. And as you start doing more matches, it'll start to become a routine for you. It's a very clean way to start matches. Again, it's probably, you're officiating above the level of the wrestlers you're going to see when you do this. But all this stuff I'm teaching, again, I want those of you that stick around after you graduate to officiate when you finish high school. I want you to join us just like Henry's joining us and work on high school varsity stuff. But I want you to learn good habits because you're going through something. It's not like I coached kids soccer one year, U9, and I was like appalled at this. Like, I had some kids on my team that had played 3 years. They didn't know the first fundamental of how to kick a ball. Like, who's been coaching you? It was embarrassing. Like, you don't even know how to kick a ball. Like, what do they work on you with? Like, so with officiating, it's the same thing. I want you to learn some good, solid fundamentals. So even if you're officiating above the level of wrestling, that's good. You're getting that solid fundamentals in. You'll look good. We'll look at you and go, that official looks good out there. And if you stay with it, you'll have a solid base as you start officiating at a higher level. Okay. So, all right. So that's start of a match. So other mat mechanic now. Once they're in action, so let's get Franklin and Alex, you're out here, you're my wrestlers. So like we blew the whistle, you guys tie up now. Just like now when we're positioning ourselves at this level of wrestling, these are not world-class athletes. So when you watch us in high school or at college even, like we're standing like out here in like row 10 of the bleachers sometimes, right? Like we're a mile away. Why? Because these are pretty good athletes. They can kind of take care of themselves. We don't want to be in their way. These are not world-class athletes. We need to be closer because we want them to hear us and think, hey, don't grab his head here. Like, we want them to hear that stuff. They can't hear that when I'm out here. And we also need to be able to go, hey, no, it's great. Like, we gotta, so I want you to be like 3 steps away from them. So if they're here tied up, and I'm gonna be like 3 steps away, 1, 2, 3. See, I want you to be about this far away. You're young enough, and fast enough, and light enough that if they move, the goal is you don't want to be in their way. That's why at the higher levels of officiating, like they're standing out here, like these guys are free to roam. But the closer we get, and the faster the athletes are, right? Like they might run into me here. I might be blocking someone's takedown attempt or something, right? So at this level, 3 steps away, about this far away, you're close enough that they can hear you. If you have to intervene, you can, but you're far enough away that you'll see them. You just use your natural athletic instincts. Just stay out of their way, okay? Stay about that far. So when they're in neutral position on their feet, the ideal is that you want to be bisecting them. So 90-degree angle that they're facing each other, and I want to be perpendicular to them. Okay? So they're looking at each other, and I'm looking through them because Alex put it like a front headlock on him, or front head arm, bring him down to the mat. Bounce him, front, not that kind of head arm, front head arm. Like the cow catcher kind of stuff. Yeah, so see, if I'm between them here, I have a chance, better yet, when I'm on this side, I can look and see, is he choking him right there? Is he grabbing that chin and twisting it or something? If I was over here, like this, at this thing, I can't see what the heck Alex is doing. I don't know if he's choking him, I don't know if he's doing it wrong, because I can't see him there. So ideally, when they're neutral, this is the angle we want. I can see in between there, okay? This angle, I can't see that he's headbutting them. Sometimes they're, they're doing stuff like that. So this is the ideal. You're not in that position, so go ahead and let him up. You get on your feet again, guys. So because they're circling around, they're moving, right? And what I don't want you to do is like keep running around the mat constantly, like trying to stay in that position because they're turning. So sometimes just let them do what they're doing. So you guys, get your collar tied and start circling around and move. Sometimes you just stay and see, they came back. They came back again. Like I don't need to keep circling with them. Now if they got static in it like this, then yeah, maybe I'm gonna start moving so I can see in between them again. Okay. So that's the mechanic when we're on the feet neutral. When they're down on the mat, so Alex, you're on bottom, and then Franklin will be on top. So now when they're on the mat in this position, take the defensive wrestler's spine, and that's the center line, okay? I want you to be like out in front of them, about 3 steps out in front of them, within 45 degrees of that center line. So like a 90-degree angle that's sort of bisected by his spine, basically. So be somewhere in, I call it the front quartering position, somewhere here to here. Because again, what I want to do is I want to see is Franklin locking hands underneath there, right? Or is Alex grabbing one finger and yanking it back? I had to call the girl in the state championship out for that. I caught her. She was like grabbing that girl's finger, and that's what helping her get out. And I caught that, but that's because I'm looking here. Again, if I'm back behind them over here, I can't see that stuff. There's not a lot usually going on back here anyway, right? Unlike other than maybe trying to be unnecessarily rough with his knee or something. Other than that, it's all happening up here anyway. So now, as they're moving around, so go ahead and just simulate the rest of it. Again, we want to stay in front. So use your knowledge. Like, see, I didn't follow the same direction. I went the opposite direction because I knew, they're just sort of spinning around this way. Okay, I'm going to go the other way because I'll meet them halfway. Versus if they're keep doing that, and I'm sitting here keep trying to catch up. Versus just go this way, and they keep going. Okay, and then I go, and I meet them halfway. So. Good. All right. So the thing is, you want to try to stay in that front quartering position. And if you're not there, then just move towards it as you can. Okay. You don't need to sprint, but don't lollygag either because you don't want to miss stuff. Okay. All right. When they're going into near fall situations. So when they go into near fall, there are 4 different criteria for near fall. Let's see who knows what the near fall criteria are. 45 degrees. So by rule, one of them is one shoulder down, the other within 45 degrees. Is this 45 degrees? What's that? 90, yeah. So don't start giving into, hey, start counting. That's like 85 degrees, dude. Like, they're gonna yell for that stuff in the stands or in the corner or whatever. Is that 45 yet? No, get closer at least. It's closer than that one is, right? So we don't have protractors, we can't measure exactly. So the thing is, like, that's probably close enough right there, isn't it? Whether you might think it's 46, he thinks it's 44. You're both right. Like, you're not counting near fall because you think it's 46 degrees. He is because he thinks it's 44 degrees. You're both right. Because you're applying the rule, which is he has to be one shoulder down with the other 45 degrees. And if I'm saying to myself, well, he's not 45 yet, then I'm not counting. If I say he's 45, then I should be counting.
Is the one person has control?
Yes, somebody has to be in control, and only the person in control can score near fall. Okay, so like I was explaining earlier, the offensive guy's putting himself in danger. He's trying to tilt the guy, and his back's almost flat on the mat. Like, he can't give up near fall until the other guy gets control. Okay, so that's one criteria. Who knows any of the other criteria? Well, that's part of being able to score near fall. But what's the near fall criteria? So one is shoulder down in contact with the mat, the other within 45 degrees. There's 3 others. Now that's part of the awarding near fall. Second criteria, on both elbows. Regardless of how close the shoulders are to that, he's on both elbows, we're counting. 1001, oh, I'm not on both elbows now, right? And then he puts me back there. Like you see this sometimes when the guy gets a takedown, and he's got a bear hugging the guy, and he's sort of sits here like this. So that's the second. Third is if both shoulders are within 4 inches of the mat. This is 4 inches. I measured this a long time ago because I had a situation where I was wondering if the guy was his shoulders were both within 4 inches because you're big guys, 189 pounders, and the one guy was laying on the other guy's thigh like this. Back was facing the mat, and he's laying on top of this guy's meaty thigh, and I'm thinking, how big is that meaty thigh? And so I like, as I'm looking, I kind of slid my hand over there like that to go, oh yeah, his thigh's like higher than my hand. So those shoulders are within 4 inches because his shoulders are on top of the thigh. So both shoulders within 4 inches, and then the last one, the fourth one, is holding him in a high bridge. So you see that when somebody puts this guy in cheek tilt, and this guy's like fighting a tilt, and he's like this. He's holding him there. This is near fall. Even though the shoulders aren't within 4 inches, even though one shoulder's not even touching, he holds him in that position. We're counting. Okay. Now, when we count near fall, the recommended mechanic, this is something you can work on in practice, is you want to, you're not required by rule to count out loud, and you're not even required to give the visual. It says if you can, you should give the visual. We routinely do the audio and the visual so everybody can sort of track along, especially the guys that are wrestling, because they're not looking at us. They hear me going 1001, 1002, like the kid knows, oh, okay, I've held it for 2 already. And I usually want their coaches to be hearing me as well, so they know. Okay, but when they're in criteria, we count. When they come out of criteria, we stop. So we covered earlier, got to be in criteria for 2 continuous seconds to earn a 2-pointer. And then if you hold them for 5 continuous seconds, you earn a 3-pointer. So if we go 1001, 1002, now see what I just did? Like when he's earned it, even though the situation goes on, I kind of am holding this for myself, just in case this goes on for a long time, I forget what's happened. 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1001, 1002, right? Then 1004, 1005. Now I'm holding 3. Once we've got a 5 count, we no longer need to count. And we're just looking for the pin. Okay? So if you can count out loud and show that visual, that helps everybody. And what I want you to try to ingrain in yourself is this mechanic that I try to teach other officials around the nation, because there's a lot of near fall points actually that are given away that aren't earned because officials count very quickly. And one of the reasons they count quickly is because they don't do what I'm doing, which is I say the count first before I move my arm. 1001, 1002. See how I say it first before I actually move my arm? A lot of officials go like this. 1, 2. You know how long it took me to do that? Less than a second, probably. When I used to coach and I'd watch video, that would happen in like 0.8 seconds. But that's 2 points near fall. He's giving the guy already. And the reason is because when you are counting as you're moving your arm, you're just going to give him that count even when he comes out of criteria. 1, he's coming out of criteria. 2, you're just going to finish it. And you're going to give it, even though he came out in the middle of that second count. They're just going to finish it. And they're going to, oh, well, he gets 2 now. And you watch video replays of that crap, and you go, that wasn't even a second. You're giving them 2 points. And I traced it down to that mechanic. It's because they move their arm while they count. 1, 2, versus 1001, 1002. And I time my count every year. I take a stopwatch, and when I count to 5, it's usually between like 4.9 and 5.1 seconds. Not perfect, but close enough. I'm not like my 5 count takes 3 seconds or my 5 count takes 10 seconds. Okay. Pinfall requires what? Okay. For how long? Continuously. This is not 2 seconds. Unless you're the coach whose kid is pinning. There's a piece fan! There's a fan, there it is! Because in your mind, you're counting in your head again. Like 1001, 1001, 1000, 1001, 1000, 1001, 1000. Like it goes on for a long time. I had a coach who he kind of irritated me because his kid had the opponent down for like 45 seconds and like this was going on. It was like close. It was that kind of thing. It's like, okay, it's down. I'm in my head. I'm counting 1001, and it's okay. Back like broke the mat again. Like okay, so it's a series of that, and finally he puts him away after like almost a minute down there, and raises his hand, and as he's walking off the mat, I hear his coach, "Hey, congratulations, world record for the longest pin ever." I felt like just walking up and going, "Oh, you're right. It is actually it's tied for the world record for the longest pin. It's also tied for the world record for the slowest pin. They're all 2 seconds, by the way." 2 shoulders in contact with the mat for 2 seconds. It's a tie between the longest ever and the shortest. They're just 2 seconds. Like, but your kid didn't have him down for 2 seconds. When he does, 2 seconds is a lot longer than people think. This happened in a dual meet. I was doing 2-time state champion from White River. The guy's name was Gabe Popcorn, and he's pinning this kid from Enumclaw. Same thing. He's gotten there for like 45 seconds at the end of the match. Like, it's really close. And during the pinning sequence, I see him a couple times and I'm clearing. Just come on, like just wrestle. Like it's very close, and we're just there's times when it's both down, but it comes back up, and it's just a sliver of light under there. Like I can see him glaring at me several times. Well, finally the situation, the period ends. He doesn't pin the guy. We're over here on this edge of the mat. We're getting up. We're walking back to the center. And this kid, as we're walking to the center, he goes like this. He didn't say anything, he just did that gesture, right? And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna let that go. I know you're frustrated, you need to get the pin. Before we can get to the center though, he does it again. So that's when I stop him and I go, all right, what did I tell you about sportsmanship in the pre-meet? You can't be showing up the official and criticizing the official. That's not sportsmanlike conduct of the -1 team, okay? And he's like rolling his eyes like, oh, whatever, like, okay, so shake hands, finish the dual meet. I'm over there changing my shoes, and all of a sudden this kid shows up with his coach, and he goes, hey, he wants to talk to you. And I go, sure, what is it? He goes, yeah, I'm sorry, I did out there. I said, it's okay. I said, I get it. Like you're just kind of frustrated in the moment. You wanted that pin. I go, 2 seconds is a lot longer than you think. I said, if you want to know how long 2 seconds is, try going home and holding a flame 1 inch underneath your forearm for 2 full seconds. You're gonna find out how long 2 seconds really is. And it isn't this long. Now! Here's how long it is. He just kind of laughed, and his coach kind of laughed. So, 2 seconds in contact with that, okay? I want you to make sure we haven't had the first session, so we're gonna cover this in the first session, but when we do this session, make up the first session, you have to see stuff to call it. So do not call pins unless you can see both shoulders down. Remember, the pin is the death sentence for the kid, right? So, like, that kid is somebody's brother, their teammate, friend, their classmate, like somebody's son or daughter. Like, so let's give them a fair match and not take it away from them because we're calling phantom pins or quick pins or whatever. Like, make sure you see it. So I want your bias to be slower, just like with the giving of control. I want your bias to be, again, if your urge is like, give it to him now, okay, great. Wait 1 second. And if he still hasn't, give it to him. So, not that you're gonna count to 3, but just make sure you see it. Don't get amped. Sometimes you get amped up. Officials get amped up. Well, oh, it's an exciting match. Oh, he's on his back. And they get and their count gets really quick or non-existent. Okay? The other thing is when you're looking at a pin, so go ahead and put him in a half Nelson. So when you're looking at a pin, same thing, right? We're gonna start out here in the front, so start to turn him. So, and now I'll just get my whistle out here, so we'll do this the way roll him back over just a little bit. Okay, here we go. Go ahead. 1,001, 1,002, 1,003, 1,004, 1,005. So keep where I'm at, still in the front. Now I'm looking for both shoulders. Now, problem that he's having right now, he's got one hand underneath the kid's shoulders over there. And so I'm gonna look, I see, okay, now I can see Alex's right and left shoulder. And now in my mind, down one, down two. So sometimes it might require like get him in that half Nelson again. Get him in the half Nelson, except this time make it so that they can see like your arm. And make your arm like completely blocked, like a reverse half. Just get on your back again, Alex, and put the reverse half on him like this, so that like you're gonna block his right shoulder and then you can see. So get like this part of your arm on the mat, blocking his shoulders. See how it's hard to see sometimes when we're forward there. So see, can we see his shoulders touching the mat at this point? Yeah, because his arms. So sometimes we have to be looking for another angle. Now I can see that shoulder, but I can't see the other one here. Can't see him back there. So as we move, we're making a calculated risk that we're hopefully going to set a better angle. We might not. We might be burning precious seconds and he actually has it in and we're missing it. That's just, we have to see it. So there's lots of times I know it has a pin, but because I can't see it, I can't work. But I know he has a pin. So we're going to move around and we're just going to, when we see it, we're going to slow ourselves down, and in our head, we're going to do that 1,001, 1,002. And if it's 2 continuous seconds, then what I want you to do not try to time your hand slap with the whistle. No. This is bad mechanic. This is why people call touch pulls. Because they do this, and then, the kid came out with his shoulders. And now everybody sees that I was about to call the pin, and I'm kind of embarrassed and I'm stuck. Now I want to call the pin because I want to get the hell out of there and be justified into why I raised my hand in the first place. So it's like, Derek, one shoulder's down, check on. This is spring loaded now because I raised it up and he's in the corner, sees that. And now I'm kind of committed, like, kid, pin him, and like I want him to pin him, like. So when you're watching, you don't need to worry about timing your slap with the whistle. Just blow the whistle when you see the pin fall, completing your count. I just go, and I look away, and then I just do that. I don't need to go. I don't need to time it. There's no bonus points for that. So you're just looking at the pin. Keep your hands on the mat. So don't rate it out. Just watch. 1,001, 1,002. See, the whistle's the most important thing because it tells them stop wrestling. And then I'm telling everybody why we stopped wrestling. Because he just got a pin. Match is now over. Okay. So, you're looking for the pinfall. Just make sure you see it. Not that you're going to be slower or you're not going to give it. I just want to make sure that he's really got it before you give him the pin. Because the match is over if you do that. And there's no chance for redemption for the kid. If you're wrong, you kind of screwed him over. So you don't want to be wrong. If you're going to be wrong on the side of he was pinned, and he probably was, coach. I just couldn't see it. I was looking, I couldn't find an angle. I know he was pinned. Like I saw the move the kid. That was a great move. But he had it tight. So that's kind of how that works. Okay. All right. So let's do a little bit of practice now of some moving around the mat. This will be the final thing we do here. So. You guys are good wrestling models, so you guys come on over here. So let's get one at a time. Grayson, Grayson, you start the match. So Alex and Franklin, you guys are the wrestlers. Sure. Let's go, Grayson. Nobody here. So, and everybody's gonna have a chance to sort of have their turn. So you watch your colleagues here, and then you learn, and then you go. You do it even better.
Okay, let's go.
All right.
Wait, that did almost also go.
Come on. Well, you're really getting competitive here. All right. Grayson, what are we doing here? Have you checked the score? Oh, timer. Good.
Someone's gotta take now. Yeah, it's better than you see it. A little close. Yeah, 3 separate. And?
2. Whatever.
Yeah, we're out of bounds.
Oh.
This is why we're doing this, right? Because you're gonna do this for real, right? So let's make sure we're using our whistle. Now, when we restart the traditional,
We don't do that whole dance step. We just sort of extend this arm out. So see where I'm at. I'm not in their way except for the arm. So I'm just gonna do, okay. Okay. All right. So this time, somebody finish something now. Let's see. You ready to make the call?
Let's try.
So stay 3 steps away.
2.
I didn't lock my hands there, but we can move without calling all those. Down and look now. I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
3 near phone.
Okay. All right. Great. All right. So feedback for Grayson. Okay. A little more confident. This is the first time you're going. What else? What else did you see? Yeah. Even hear your mouth if nothing else. Okay. What else did we see?
Make sure you're using the right handle to call it.
Okay.
Well, it's on the green side, it's on the right side.
How is the position?
There's no color.
There's colors on the map.
Where?
Yeah. So what?
They're supposed to.
Could have been.
They're supposed
We need to be a little further away.
From there, from my angle, it looks like green.
He wasn't like three steps away. Oftentimes he was like this close to them. Okay. So gotta be ready with your whistle. The other thing is when he made his signal for the 2, like he was kind of that quick. 2, he just sort of did it and dropped it versus keeping it up there and letting them see it. Okay. All right. This floor is your up.
Be in line.
Whistle around you. Step back and do that too. You sure? Probably want to be a little more patient there. Yeah. Control right now. We're not going to take that.
Oh my.
Okay, so Franklin's in control, so be watching for your ball now.
Frankie.
Yourself, bro.
See your phone right here or not? I can't see here. Oh, there we go. What do we got now? What just happened? Now,
Nope, not yet. Oh, no.
all right, so what do we, so at this point, what did you miss? So, you didn't award an air fall. You didn't award the reversal he got. Then they were out of bounds, and you were still just looking, so, and then you couldn't have your whistle nearby. So, see, these are the things, like, it's your first time, right? So this kind of stuff happens. So, let's go ahead. Crack at it.
Let's go, Nate.
So that's
Come on, Frankie. You got this.
I'm ready. Starting position.
You take the scoreboard?
Yeah,
Take hands.
That's true.
Two take down green.
Yes.
One.
Look at him every single time.
1, 2,
3, 4, 5.
Go. There you go. Good.
My left shoulder was on the mat.
The t-shirt was hanging down. See, that's the problem. Wearing a loose t-shirt. Alright, that's good. So, you okay with that? Yeah, you look good out there. Alright.
Momenton. Frankie, let's go. You go buy us draft now. Let's go.
Ready.
Get on the line.
They didn't shake hands. Alright. Yeah, I'll send out a meeting notice for the next meeting. We'll do it on Microsoft Teams. Be patient, right? You gotta be patient. Make sure somebody's earned something before we're gonna award anything, right? Nobody's got a position of advantage yet. They have restraining power, don't they? They both have restraining power, so they're kind of tying each other up in knots. Nobody can go anywhere. Nobody has the advantage yet. Get it worked out.
Do something.
They're not stolen.
But if you think it's getting stuck, it's gone long enough, you can probably stay on the conversation. Looks like he's making some progress now.
2, take that. Black shirt.
Hold it up above your head now. There you go. And he's locking hands there. He's the top guy.
Two, reversal. Gray shirt.
There you go. When you miss the air, and it is.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Hey. Come on over here, guys. Shake and do the end of match there. Make sure they shake hands.
Shake hands.
Raise your hand. All right. So what did you think? What feedback do you guys have? You watch, what do you see? So get the signal up there, fire, right? Be confident. People can see it. Yeah. Keep up with them. If you got a little slower reaction factor, somebody's on the back, right? You're gonna do this here. That's right. All right.
Don't stretch this out.
All right.
Oh, yeah. I'm a wrestler. Like that, bro.
Wrestling like whatever. Okay. Yeah. So they shake hands with each other first.
No. Shake hands. Just hold still.
Make sure you guys whistle in your mouth like you're getting a whistle like that, so you can hold that whistle. Not the late place. That's good, these guys, and they're going after it. Oh. So that move. Good, there you go, on the red. There you go, good job. Signal there.
You know what you mean?
Yeah. Sit there.
Two reversal green.
And yeah, well, that whistle, that's why it's there. Now they know to stop, right? Okay, now start the second period.
Coin. Coin.
Green.
Green choice.
See what that wants. Let the table know.
Your choice. Green choose.
So get in position. Whenever you start action, regardless of what period, you should be facing the table. Sometimes I'll have these lines backwards. It could be You need to face the table, so let's say that his mat turned the other way, the table's there, he still would have the red mat on that side and green on that, because he's gotta face the table.
Did you change the match or you always change the
No, don't change it. Alright. Good. Okay, good. Great. Stop. Alright, so what do you think? And the out of bounds, right? Stuff moves, right? Like, so part of what you do is the more experienced you are, the more you kind of thought about it, man, the more it'll slow some things down for you. Because you're not behind the action, or you're not predicting some things. Okay? So, this is just your chance to experience that, okay? So why don't you go and do it, Henry?
Feel good. Future. Alright, feet on the line. Shake hands. Ready. Press it.
One black stance. One. Snap down.
Take a shot.
Take shots. Come on, work it. Yeah, drive. Black.
Take down.
Over the pig.
Green.
White. Base. Yeah, stand up. Black, you go to the leg right here, right leg in. Yeah, control. Come on, White. Break his leg. Yeah, there we go, White.
Where's the red?
Yeah,
White's on top now.
Come on, White. Good black. Bridge.
2 1,000. 3 1,000.
One black. Bridge.
5 1,000.
Alright.
I can't drive with socks
And the
on.
match ceremony.
Ladies and gentlemen, shake hands. Shake the coach's hands.
Yeah, so one thing I'll add is that when you're out here officiating, keep your eyes on the wrestlers at all times. So like, especially like in the match ceremony, like they shake hands, okay, they're gonna go to maybe the other coach and shake their hand, or keep your eyes, be in a position where you can see them both. It's very rare, but I've had this happen where something happened, an interaction that wasn't good between the kid and the coach. So we don't want to have our backs to wrestlers ever. If you go out of bounds, like sometimes it means doing unnatural things. Out of bounds, and then I'm like, okay, here we go, back to the center. See, I'm like a sheepdog. I don't go like, oh, out of bounds, back to the center. Look what I'm doing here. I'm not looking at them. And now that kid hit that kid. Right? So that's why we, okay, I always keep my right side more. I do unnatural things like, okay, gotta go to the table for something. Okay, let's just stay in the center. I walk backwards. Okay, did you get the 2 near wall and then 2 are red and 3 near wall? Okay, okay, good. So that's correct now. Okay. So see how I'm always able to keep my eyes on the wrestlers. Something you'll train yourself to, because if you're not used to that, you won't think it. They're gonna go out of bounds. You're gonna turn around like this. This coach is gonna start saying something. You're gonna like start talking to them, and they're over there. So it's like always get into a mindset of like something is wrong in the universe. If I'm not looking at them, like your body will say, look. Oh, I can say to myself like keep my eyes on. Okay. All right. Now let's up.
Alright, come on. Keep on practice.
Keep goes out of it. Good. Make sure everybody gets one turn, and then we'll finish out the red. Good.
Line and back.
Table. So schedule for. We'll do the other session on Monday night. Okay.
Thank you.
Table.
This Monday night. See, go fit on the
Where's
line.
on my cell phone? Don't bother. My friends are geeky. Shake hands. Jump on him. Get that take down.
Okay, come.
Two. Red. No.
No takedown. Never had the advantage. That's why you give it. There we go.
2 points. Takedown. Red.
Good.
Reversal, bro. Keep going. Reversal. Green. Bro.
Now what? Now what? Don't we have an escape?
Hey, red. Two. Takedown. Red.
Alright. And blow those will stop. Okay. End the match ceremony.
Shake it.
Go shake your coach's hands.
You don't.
Other coach.
You don't need to instruct them to go shake it. If they don't want to do it, then I'll. They have problems in other parts of the country sometimes where the cat and blood and stuff happens. There's like rules against doing it actually in some places. Okay, so who hasn't been up yet?
I've been up.
Franklin's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm putting Frank up.
Yeah, Frank is up.
Alright.
Alright, yeah.
Always win. Always.
Okay.
Then you'll go last.
John, don't dodge.
I'll try.
Ready to go, Red.
Big Alex that way, you.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
A little strong, actually.
168.
Oh, yeah. Timekeeper? Alright. Wrestlers shake hands.
Sean.
Take down, 2 red.
You don't blow the whistle. I'm crazy.
Seems to be crying out.
Call it. Call it.
Take down, 2 green.
Oh, sorry.
No.
Does anybody have water? I'm cramping up so bad right now.
Where?
There's a one.
Cap. Okay, get. Lie down.
Right down. Bro.
Okay, so what did we see there? He's crying in pain and nobody was, he wasn't responding, right? He's gotta be holding that whistle. Okay, it's okay.
It's his blood.
Oh, you got blood. No, you got blood.
Ready to go back down now?
Alright, so we're,
Alright, lie down for a bit, don't move.
alright, so we're down to that. Couple things, what do we got to give Franklin for some feedback here? Keep the whistle in your mouth. Now you gotta be ready to blow that whistle to start and stop action, right?
Don't blow it, somebody give it to you.
Yeah. And be current with the action, right? Like there was a reversal and there was an escape and you weren't signaling that stuff. So you gotta keep up with the wrestling because again, it's scorekeeper, that's the say what you got. And they won't know anything other than you tell them. Or they might anticipate, they might be wrong. So. Alright, last one here.
Come on, Winston.
Guys, I don't think I'll be able to wrestle.
Everyone else is
Someone fight. Someone else.
Wait, how much you weigh? I'm 130, but my nose. Oh yeah, he's 160.
Come on over, Wes. I'll go easy.
Ooh, sure some skins.
Ready, you're green.
Hey, Sean, who are you gonna check?
Hands, Winston. Yeah. Five.
Got him.
Two, takedown, green. Oh, sorry.
What's he missing right now? There's a lot of near fall going on over here, probably.
1, 2.
Like 30 seconds.
No, I didn't see it.
Say us down.
Hold the near fall, bro. I mean,
He counted to 2, so doesn't he get some near fall now?
2 points here for green. Ah, can't keep one whistle. One.
near fall.
Yeah, come on, listen here. Come on.
2, new ball.
Fashion, what is this? Right to a reverse load in near fall.
2 reversal, red.
You got hit to the reversal side.
Keep counting.
Reversal. One.
It's like gas pump.
Oh no. Okay.
Winston, green.
He's like 100 times.
I'm
I
stalling.
believe in you. Fine.
Why the hell is stalling on this?
3 points. 3 points, red.
I'm being fucking crushed and you don't stalling.
Okay, what is this?
1,
Oh, this year I will. Yes, sir. Yes, I'll keep it
2 points, near fall.
Finish the.
Red.
Alright, and end the match.
Stop.
Alright.
Question calls stalling.
Shake hands.
Still got it.
So close.
Alright, Russell, have our 6 pounder. Okay, so guys, let's wrap up. So obviously we can't do everything, otherwise I'd have to have like 8 hours of training with you. But you got a taste of it now. You know some of the things that you can work on. Now, remember, take a look at those signals, practice them in your mirror, okay? There's certain things that are 100% in your control. How you signal, that's in your control. So like I tell kids in preview when I was here, funny, right? Like, if your shoes, there's only one reason why your shoes should come untied during a match. Because you're a knucklehead. It's 100% in your control. You can double knock them, tape them, right? Same with your signals. You are in control of that. You're not in control of what they do, okay? So if you practice these other things, these basic things, you can get them right regardless of what happens in a match. You can set them in position correctly and start them well regardless of how good they are. Okay, so there's certain things you can practice. You're aware now that you gotta keep up with the action, gotta, again, stay at a good distance from them, gotta be signaling that stuff nice and clear. Make sure that you're signaling all the stuff. Don't leave out points that the kids earned, right? Because what you're gonna do is if you're not careful, you're gonna create situations where you're gonna go, oh crap, now I gotta straighten this out, like what happened? He started on top, it's gonna get messy. So try to keep those signals going as the action's going. Remember, you're in charge of starting and stopping things, so when we get to the boundary line and they go out, you need to be, don't just sit there and look, they're all the way out here and you're still like not blowing a whistle, like you gotta blow that whistle, okay? So practice on anticipating. Just use your knowledge as wrestlers to anticipate what's going to happen, so that you can position correctly, or that you can go, oh, they're heading out like this ring, right? Like, and I know that they're going to play. Let's go back to the center, guys. So keep in mind that's why you got this little bit of experience. I'll try to my best to have an experienced official at your site for the first assignment. They can sort of help you out, give you some feedback, give you some coaching, help smooth things out, maybe, something starts to go sideways, so try to make sure you get help that way. Season will kick off next week in Lake Washington School District, so there's a set of buildings already happening, and then we've got stuff that's on pause up in the North Shore School District, so how many of you can drive to places like Bothell after school? Okay, so, because if you can, the good thing about their assignments is they do double duels. you run 2 mats, you get double the fee. You'll make $120. So if you drive up to Canyon Park, you drive over to Kenmore, whatever, it's not that far from here. 5 miles to Interstate 45 or whatever. I'll probably have you over Edmonds, home sharing and all of that. So anyway, I'll schedule the session for Monday evening. We'll just meet for like 1 hour. We'll cover some of those other things we didn't get covered yet. We'll tell you about Arbiter. I'll send you an email with a text reminder tonight to get your information so that I can set up your Arbiter account. You need to be able to give me your social security number, your date of birth, your mailing address, okay? So I can set up your account. And then once I set up your account, you'll have the homework. You can do that over the weekend. And you can also work on your requirements that in Arbiter for your WA certification, okay? That'll make it clear to be able to work. So we get this all sort of wrapped up at the beginning of the week, and then we'll start seeing assignments. I think the first one's like at Hill or whatever. That stuff starts on Thursday, I think. So once we get rolling, and then I'll just make money, have fun, right?
Bring like this information like Monday.
We'll do this is gonna be online.
Oh, online.
Yeah, no, you'll send me that information once you get my email. So one thing that we didn't, because we didn't have the first session, we didn't cover this for you. I'm gonna emphasize these things to you right now. Number one, email is the primary form of communication. I know that's not your primary form of communication. Your texting is, or your phone, or whatever, like, not for us, email. So while you're in season for the next few weeks, you know, watch your email, okay? Can't afford to have you, oh, I didn't see your meeting notice. Oh, I didn't know that I had an assignment. Like, if you know. Number two, this is a job. Take it seriously. You have to be reliable for me. If you're not reliable, I'll fire you. Okay? I've done that to one person in 15 years because they were totally irresponsible. So it's easy to, again, 100% in your control. Like, just be a responsible person. So be reliable, fulfill your assignments, okay? Do your homework, all that good stuff like I gave with you. It's all good. Okay? So I will send you an email later tonight soliciting from you that information. You'll send back to me. Alex already have yours, right? I already have yours, so that you guys already done your stuff. But the rest of you, that's, so some of you don't know your social security number. Go ask your parents, you know. If they have any hang-ups about sending that to me, you can break the information up by, okay, I'll send you the first 5 digits in the email, Bob, and I'm going to text you the last 4. Like, you're worried that somebody's going to get a hold of your social security number. So whatever. Like, so I'll send it out later tonight. You guys respond back to it, and you'll get a calendar invite for Monday evening for 1 hour online. Okay. You guys will have that calendar invite. You've already been through that. Okay. All right. Thanks for coming tonight, guys. Are you looking forward to this now?
Yes.
It's gonna be fun. A little nerve-wracking at first. You saw a little taste of it here, but it's all good. All right. We'll be in touch. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, for some of the junior high coaches and middle school coaches,